never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams. Better from above. Nothing's ever as it seems, yeah, except in that world that I dream of. Never gonna lose the ones I love. Never gonna lose the ones I love. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that world that I dream of. Oh, don't up before you go, 'cause I can't face this day alone. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams. Give me my dreams. Give me my dreams.
Looks like we've hit the witching hour. Midnight Eastern time as we progress into midweek. Wednesday coming on here. Yeah, Mike. There you go. We call it Hump Day. Beautiful night outside the Hotshot Secret Bunker as we get things underway. Another Steve Sommers overnight drive. We're looking at 60 degrees, 60 outside the studios. Quiet night. Just a few fluffy clouds out there, which you can see very clearly with the nearly full moon. I think technically full moon coming up here Thursday night. Either Wednesday night or Thursday night yet. Looks close to it. Just got an email from Shaky here as we get things underway. Checking in, he says, from the Village Bar for the last time of the week on this beautiful night. About 60 degrees, almost a full moon, no wind, great night here in Edinburgh, Indiana. I was wanting to know what's the code for the discount when I order Hotshot Secret products. Well, it is... You almost had it right, Shaky. Yeah, overnight drive. That's all you have to type in. Overnight drive. That'll get your 10% off. He was thinking it was overnightdriveradio.com. Just all you need is overnight drive. Said I'll stay up and listen as long as I can before the Miller Lite kicks in. Back to work tomorrow night, though. I'll definitely be listening. Have a great show. Y'all have fun. Speed safely. And we'll see you out there. All right, Shaky, good to have you with us. Yeah, go ahead, place your order. Overnight drive is the code there. All right, so we started off the week Sunday night, Monday morning, of course, right as we got things underway. Had big-time storms, tornado tearing through parts of Chicago. And in the wake of the damaging storms that tore through not just Chicago, parts of the Midwest, Conditions are going to be relatively calm over the next couple of days. However, the region may find itself bracing for another round of strong thunderstorms toward the end of the week. Getting an early warning here as we take a first look at our travelers' weather. The heat and humidity that helped fuel those storms Sunday night obviously swept away to the east. Areas will continue to be drier as we head into midweek here. Wednesday, more comfortable conditions take hold. Actually, some below normal temperatures. Haven't seen a lot of that in the month of June. Luckily, residents who have to deal with the aftermath of Sunday night storms, not having to deal with any scorching heat or brutal cold, either one, temperatures going to be hovering probably within just a few degrees of normal. Much of northern Illinois through the middle of the week here. As you might expect during the summer, the lack of heat and humidity is not going to last too long. By Thursday, the moisture content of the air begins to increase. Temperatures begin to build a bit higher than we saw on Tuesday and what we anticipate today. As warmer air begins to move in from the west, that higher heat and humidity expanding northward, out and ahead of the next cold front. So the timing of a surge of moisture across the Midwest is going to kind of coincide with the arrival of the cold front. That is, putting all the atmospheric ingredients together in just the right way. This could spell another round of feisty storms. Also, the jet stream energy is going to help add some extra strength to the storms. The most likely area for thunderstorms during the day Thursday will start off in southern Iowa and northern Missouri. An area of low pressure could aid in additional thunderstorm development Thursday night. Storms may repeat over some of the same areas. Flooding becomes a concern there. However, the storms are going to expand eastward, reaching into western Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Some of the cities that may be at risk for a severe thunderstorm Thursday into Thursday night: Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Kansas City, Missouri, on up to Madison, Wisconsin, Rockford, Illinois. What are we talking about here? Both large hail and damaging winds will be a threat Thursday. The main severe hazard is going to transition over to strong winds as we head into the overnight hours. So again, Thursday night, I may have an active night passing information along to the drivers out there. Unfortunately, by Friday, parts of northern and central Illinois that were hit hard Sunday night will once again be at risk. Portions of Michigan and Indiana could also face some of those thunderstorms on Friday. So again, you're getting several days advance notice, but areas that are going to want to keep an eye on the sky Friday. Again, Chicago, Indianapolis, Grand Rapids, Michigan. That front begins to fall apart by the weekend, which will significantly lessen the severe weather threat. However, forecasters do say what's left of that front is going to stall out over the region. So you could see some additional showers and embedded thunderstorms still in the forecast there. Meanwhile, out west, where the heat has been building, just a couple of days into summer, much of the western U.S. already seen their fair share of extreme heat. Forecasters say the pattern leading to the searing heat not going to change all that much for the coming weeks, they tell us. However, the hot air is going to shift its focus with the worst of the heat relative to average building into the Pacific Northwest once again for a time this weekend and into early next week. Now, parts of the Northwest, you got a little taste of extreme heat to start the week Monday, first full day of summer. Several daily high temperature records were challenged in parts of western Washington and Oregon. Portland, you hit 97 degrees Monday, broke your old record of 96. Meanwhile, in Vancouver, Washington, you shattered the old record of 91 that was set back in 1938 when you jumped to 95 degrees. Seattle just missed your first 90-degree reading of the season on Monday. You're probably not going to have to wait much longer to hit that mark As we're now into summer, a slight cool down, trimmed temperatures back 5 to 10 degrees above average, and that continues into Thursday. Then we watch for that shift in the jet stream. The atmospheric furnace is going to be on high Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Average highs this time of year would range from, say, about 70 in northwestern Washington, mid-70s along the Oregon coast and eastern Washington, close to 80 in the far eastern portions of Oregon into Idaho, along the Idaho border. Now, Seattle's high is going to be in the upper 70s to near 80 each day through Thursday. Portland, you'll reach into the middle 80s Thursday. It'll be a tad warmer, registering the upper 80s in Spokane the next few days. As a weak system pushes slowly inland off the Pacific Thursday, temperatures should be held back a bit, especially along the coastal areas. That same weak storm, with its small amount of moisture, may be enough to produce mainly some dry thunderstorms that could set off some spotty wildfires with sporadic lightning strikes, mainly in Oregon and Northern California. Now, that weak storm and an associated dip in the jet stream is going to set up shop over the interior Southwest later this week and this weekend. In that position, a little edge may be taken off the heat in the Southwest, where the triple-digit highs have been more common there. Daily record highs falling by the wayside in much of the month of June. Now, as the jet stream dips southward over the Southwest, a compensating pattern results in an intensifying northward bulge in the jet stream from Friday through Sunday in the northwestern U.S. and parts of southwestern Canada. When the jet stream behaves this way, the air at the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere get very warm. And when the air upstairs is warm, the air down near the ground has a much easier time heating up, especially in the summer, with the dry ground conditions. So this upcoming pattern in the northwest and southern portions of British Columbia probably sets the stage for more daily record high temperatures in the 90s, even some low triple-digit highs. Locations across central Washington, such as Yakima and Omak, are forecast to hit the low 100s on Friday. Saturday and Sunday forecast temperatures upwards of 100 degrees will spread across a large portion of Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, western Montana. Portland, you're forecast to top 100 degrees Saturday and Sunday. Now, you're getting close to records there. The record of 102 for Saturday and the record of 98 for Sunday may be broken. Meanwhile, not only will Seattle hit that 90-degree mark for the first time this season, record highs are forecast to be blown away. Highs both days this weekend in Seattle. Forecast to be in the neighborhood of 96 degrees. That would easily break your old record. 90 degrees in 2006. For Saturday, 92 is the old record. Not the only locations that are going to be challenging record highs coming up this weekend. Spokane, Missoula, Montana, Redding, California, Vancouver, British Columbia, all going to make runs at record highs, potentially for several days. Temperatures are going to be several degrees higher. When you add in the humidity, it's going to feel more like 110 degrees in some areas. Now, while some of the athletes are making their runs to qualify for the U.S. Olympic team at Hayward Field in Eugene, you may get a little break from the extreme heat through Thursday. Highs forecast to be in the upper 80s. But your temperatures are going to trend upward Friday through Sunday. You're going to be in the low 90s Friday, upper 90s Saturday, maybe hitting the triple digits on Sunday. Temperatures on the track were near 100 degrees there on Monday morning. So it's hot to be out there practicing. Little reprieve from the heat for at least the first part of next week in the northwest, as that dome of high pressure is going to be pretty much just anchored over the region. While the number of people with air conditioners has increased in that part of the country in recent years, in the Northwest, particularly in Washington and Oregon, there's still many residents that do not have AC. That means they're going to have a difficult time keeping cool. Now, people that do not have AC obviously avoid strenuous activity, try to stay hydrated. Fans can be effective means of reducing body temperature, evaporating perspiration, but they can also accelerate dehydration in some cases. So as a result of the persistent heat and high energy demands this month, residents that do have AC and make use of their means to keep cool can probably expect some costly electric bills. Meanwhile, the wildfire risk is obviously going to be on the increase with the building drought and exceptional dryness in some areas, reservoirs that are running at record low levels so early in the season. There's concern we could be facing a very bad fire season. And some officials are talking precautions to avoid water shortages. Even though there's some hope for some showers and thunderstorms by the monsoon season coming up that they figure will kick off in early July. With such widespread heat and drought so soon, the stage could be set for a record-challenging year for wildfires. The heat and drought's going to continue out west. Late summer, early fall, prime wildfire season is on the horizon there. All right, some of our travelers' weather as we get things off and rolling here on a Wednesday. Good to have you with us. Who all's checking in here? I know Colton was with us right out of the box. First, he loves being first out of the box. Good to have you with us. Double R checking in. Good morning. Kyle says, Colton's in the house. Yes, he is. Zorro checking in. Morning, Steve. Everybody be safe out there. Ready to roll. Captain Ron checking in. Tank, is it? It's Hub Day. Yes, it is. Morning, Steve. A nice 78 degrees here in New Mexico tonight. Good morning, Your Honor, from Monty Python. Colton said, my dad's on the phone. We're not taking a trailer. Where do you put a sticker for a license plate? Okay. Let's see. Good to hear from you. Scott checking in from Steubenville, Ohio once again. Good to have you with us. Have a great day. David in Anderson, Indiana, 59 degrees, clear, nice night. Jay says, good morning, Steve. And all the truck drivers, let's have a safe, prosperous journey tonight. And let's see, Joshua checking in. Hey, that's Josh, our buddy Josh. Checking in from Toma, Wisconsin. Josh is out on the road. He's out there for the Budweiser Dairyland Supernational Truck and Tractor Pool that's going to be starting this Thursday. And I know I've got it in my show notes here. Josh is actually going to be hosting your Thursday edition of the Facebook Live, Hot Shot Secret Facebook Live, the Hot Shot Secret Facebook page there every Thursday at 1:30 Eastern Time. So, he'll be coming your way. Check that out live from the Budweiser Dairyland Super National, the big truck pool. By the way, this is the 23rd of June. I believe you had until today to get registered for a 4-pack of tickets to attend the big truck and tractor pool that starts on Thursday. You'd go to the contest page from the hotshotsecret.com website. Again, I think they'll be pulling winners on that at some point in time later today. If you'd like to be there, check it out live and in person. Get on there and get registered. Patsy checking in from Nebraska tonight. Trying to rain, but it's more like sprinkles than anything else here in Lincoln. Bob hanging out in Columbus tonight. A nice 57 degrees. Got the F3, smooth as silk truckers, are the heartbeat of the country. All right, have a great show. Peace out. He goes by the handle of One Putt. All right, good to have you with us. Bidu checking in. Morning, Steve, and the overnight drive crew. 57 degrees here. Clear skies in Rochester, New York. Waiting on my loads back to Youngstown. Richard checking in from Central Florida where it's 73 degrees. Hope you had a fine Father's Day weekend. Yes, Richard, indeed we did. Thank you so much. Eskimo Mom, what do you got? All right, I guess she's just starting her week out. Happy Monday for some, hump day for others. I wish we could bottle up some of this nice weather for another day. All right. Fuzzy checking in. Morning, Steve. Parked rig at the casino in Davenport. Little rain, 65 degrees, and the machines are awful tight. Okay, that's not good. West Michigan checking in at 54 degrees. That's our friend One Crazy Ray. And Robert, where it's nice, cool 68 in Fredericksburg. I'll be rolling through the night. Good to have you with us. All right, got an update. Joel Morrow, our Mondays with Morrow Joel, who had his surgery last week, did post an update this past day. Heart surgery update. He said, I was originally diagnosed with bicuspid aortic stenosis. Turns out my aortic valve was just extremely large bore with no bicuspid leaflets and no stenosis. The valve was just very large and allowing blood to backflow very hard as the valve leaflets were not coming together when fully closed. Yeah, I said my heart is strong and not enlarged. Yeah, both bad things, I'm told. The surgeon was able to place a very large artificial Onyx 2. I guess that's the valve, which is closing fully and makes a very noticeable difference in terms of energy. Unfortunately, my initial surgery recovery progressed too fast and had to have some fluid drained off my heart. So he's still in the hospital right now. I should be discharged about 11:30 Wednesday. So about 12 hours from now, maybe getting out of the hospital, at which point I'll start local physical therapy soon after that. For now, I'm doing 4x16 reps. That's walking around the Ross Center there in Columbus. He's walking, that's about a mile, just over a mile. Hoping to see everybody back out on the road in 90 days. So surgery complete, successful. Guess like anything else, you get some ups and some downs, but he's progressing. And here in a few weeks, when he gets up to it, Joel will be back to joining us here on our Monday morning episodes for an hour or two as he continues his recovery off the road here. All right, so aside from the big tractor pulls that'll be taking place there in Wisconsin here in the next few days, Kyle's going to be headed out probably today or tomorrow for the racing action, which is coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday. This is going to be the big one, a big weekend race. The Outlaw Diesel Super Series heading to the legendary Virginia Motorsports Park in Virginia. Hot Shot Secret will be there along with the fastest diesel drag racers in the country, including the world's fastest diesel. That is our very own Hot Shot Secret Fire Punk Diesel S10, along with all the other Hot Shot Secret sponsored racers. There's a bunch of them going to be there this weekend. This is the next leg of the Outlaw Diesel Points Series. Always guaranteed to be a big time. And they've also got an awesome truck show, including big rigs. If you weren't aware, check out all the classes of truck show awards. They've got the custom big rig awards. Yeah, Kyle said there's always some cool trucks there. Hoping to see some of our overnight drive listeners at the show there. Gates open at noon on Friday. They'll have some test sessions and qualifying until 10 p.m. Saturday, gates open 8 a.m. Track goes hot at 11 a.m. They'll be racing all day, $20 to get in. And again, if you had not caught it yet, Kyle's got a sweeten in the pot. Anybody who stops by the Hot Shot Secret booth and says you're an overnight drive listener, he'll just hand you a free quart of Hot Shot Secret Stick Shin Eliminator, a $32 value. So hoping to see some of our overnight drive listeners there in Virginia this weekend. Virginia Motorsports Park, south of Richmond, Virginia, pretty close to where I-95 and I-85 meet up. And I know Horse Feathers was talking about trying to get down there. I think it's a little further drive. He did make his way up there to some of the racing action this past weekend. It was about a 2-hour drive, wasn't it? So it's more like a 4-hour drive if he heads down to Virginia Motorsports Park. So he was kind of concerned about driving 4 hours, being there watching the races all day, and then having to drive 4 hours. Kyle, he said, hey, if I'm going to drive that far, find you a little Motel 6, spend the night, get some rest before making that drive home. All right, around the country, as always, our number is 844-844-3388. All right, coming up here in the next few nights, we're going to be kind of changing up the format a little bit. Since we first got the program started, we've kind of been doing longer segments where I start the program off, we go to the bottom of the hour, get our news break, and then take it all the way back to the top of the hour as we make preparations to further transition to some other outlets, listening outlets. We're going to be getting on a kind of more of a traditional radio format where I think the schedule's going to be, we'll do like a 3-minute break about quarter past the hour. Do the same thing at the bottom of the hour with our news break and a few spots in there, another 3-minute break about a quarter till. Those will be like the floating breaks, but we're going to get to where we're doing the hard time, the top and bottom of the hour news breaks. So going to have to get back in the pattern of paying attention to things. And, if I've got a listener that we need to hold through the news break, that's not a problem. Simply to do. But again, we'll be changing up the format. Probably, like I said, maybe Wednesday night or Thursday. Got to get some new spots loaded into the system here. But just giving you a heads up on that. Under our industry headlines, several weeks back, this was discussion. It maybe have been a month and a half ago. Remember when they were talking about possible gasoline shortages in some places around the country due to the lack of fuel haulers, the lack of tanker drivers. This was even before the whole Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. Well, reports coming out of Colorado, drivers saying they're having trouble finding gas stations that have fuel. And many of the media outlets there are pointing to the shortage of truck drivers as the reason for the disruption. There are some local outlets reporting gas stations running dry in Pueblo, Colorado, Cannon City, Denver, and Colorado Springs over the past weekend. There was a Circle K station manager in Lakewood that spoke to Denver 7 and said, we actually had 6 days where we only had diesel fuel. We had no unleaded. We had no premium. Many outlets arguing that there are no serious gas shortage, that the reason the stations are running out of supply is simply the lack of truck drivers. They say this shortage combined with panic buying is what's causing some of the pumps to temporarily run dry. Now, there's many members of the trucking industry and groups like OOIDA who have long argued there's no shortage of truck drivers. The real staffing issue with the industry is caused by stagnating driver wages and high driver turnover rates. For the most part, I've agreed with that for many, many years. In this particular instance, though, especially when it comes to the tanker drivers, we had the numbers, remember, from the association that represents the tanker drivers, that the pandemic saw, there was like a 25% reduction in the number of tank haulers out there. So I think they are actually likely facing a driver shortage issue. Undoubtedly, if you're driving a tanker, the hazmat drivers, it's not like you're working from some one of these big fleets where you can't put food on your table because they're paying you a pittance. Yeah, those are good paying jobs. So I think there's more to it than just the whole wage thing. There was a report from AAA Colorado that had a bit of more nuanced explanation, mainly that, as I just said, there you go, the pandemic caused tanker truck drivers to look for different jobs in the industry because the demand for fuel had dropped so dramatically last year. Many of these gas delivery drivers lost their jobs at the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, they took their skills to other places like Amazon or delivering household items like toilet paper when the demand was off the charts. Well, now that the gas demand has returned to pretty much where we were prior to the pandemic, indeed, the driver shortage is causing some supply chain issues. Harold Trent is director of the U.S. Truck Driving School, explaining that he believes that the hazmat endorsement required to haul fuel is also contributing to some of the shortages in Colorado, as fewer new drivers are even interested in hauling hazmat. A lot of potential drivers are just not interested in hauling hazardous materials because of course, the danger, the nature of the job, and there's many of them that just don't qualify. There's a lot of things that can knock a potential candidate out of the hazmat section on the CDL. Yeah, regards to stuff on maybe their criminal background. This is not the first time, obviously, fuel shortages have made headlines. Of course, referring back to the ransomware attack on the Colonial. And when that all got underway, we did begin to see some panic buying. I don't know if that's everybody going out to fill up their tanks there in Colorado for fear, like they had in the Southeast, buying a lot more fuel than you actually need at this point in time. All right, and we'll get to your calls coming up here. Jump on in. It's 844-844-3388. Underway on a hump day. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hotshot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
The White House acknowledged that its goal of having 70% of American adults receive at least one dose of COVID vaccine by July 4th will not be met. Jeff Zients, the White House's COVID response coordinator, said Tuesday that about 150 million American adults are currently vaccinated, short of the administration's goal of 160 million. Zients added that the administration will now focus on getting younger Americans immunized, pushing particularly for 18 to 26-year-olds to get their shots. And a sweeping elections reform bill pushed by congressional Democrats has been blocked by Senate Republicans. In a Tuesday vote, the For the People Act was blocked from being brought to the floor for a debate by a 50-50 tally. 60 votes were needed to advance the proposal. The bill would have been the largest overhaul of the electoral system in decades, a measure Democrats say is needed as states have been passing their own election reform bills in the wake of last November's election. This is USA Radio News.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-882-2093. 800-882-2093. 800-882-2093. That's 800-882-2093.
You're listening to the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
excessive black smoke.
Excessive black smoke has two causes: carbon buildup and internal diesel injector deposits, also known as IDIDs. Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme has the highest concentration of active ingredients allowed by law and will safely remove all types of injector deposits, including IDIDs and carbon buildup, to eliminate black smoke.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Diesel Army is on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Burning the midnight oil with the best diesel coverage. All the tech, all the torque. Diesel Army, where there's smoke, there's fire. For the latest news and event coverage, as well as feature and tech articles, sign up for the newsletter and don't miss a thing. Visit dieselarmy.com from the Power Auto Media family of digital magazines. Again, it's dieselarmy.com.
If computers are your problem, Cherry Digital Pros has your solution. We are a full-service computer sales and repair company. We can diagnose your problem and fix it quickly and affordably. We fix all models of laptops and PCs. We also offer custom-built PCs, servers to your specifications. From PC repair and laptop repair to online internet help to data recovery, we can handle it. Let Cherry Digital Pros solve your computer problem today. Call or text us at 513-568-5568 or go to cherrydigitalpros.com.
PureFlow AirDog, your leader in fuel air separation system technology. Our systems filter out water, particulates down to 2 micron, and remove all of the air out of your diesel fuel. This allows for nothing but pure, clean diesel fuel to reach the expensive injection system equipped in your vehicle. Not only do our fuel systems protect, they also come in a variety of flow rates to meet your performance needs. Our systems are compact and use OEM-style fittings for easy installation. Learn more about our product at www.pureflowairDog.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Protect your investment with PureFlow AirDog.
Whether you're a diesel pickup performance enthusiast or just looking for a small upgrade, when selecting common rail fuel system components, look no further than Exergy Performance. At Exergy, you'll find injectors, pumps, and more, engineered like no others on the market using state-of-the-art equipment run by people that have been in the business for decades. So if you're in the market for common rail components at any power level, contact Exergy Performance or one of the many dealers listed on our website at exergyperformance.com.
The Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers. Live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios. Call Steve now. 844-844-3388. That's 844-844-3388.
It looks like we got the Michigan Madman checking in tonight, right? And Tuesday night was your racing night, wasn't it? He's actually on vacation. Yeah, let's see. It says Sunday we took the SS Badger from Ludington across Lake Michigan to Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Then drove up to Munsing, Michigan. Today we went on the Pictured Rocks boat tour. And now we're at Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, setting out here watching the big ships come through the locks. It's a beautiful night. Hey, that sounds like a good time. A little bit cool up there, but all right, enjoy your vacation, the Michigan Madman. Hey, thanks for tuning in even when you're on vacation. How about that? Let me see here. Our number is 844-844-3388. And good morning to the Red Mule. Hey there, what's happening?
Morning, Steve. I think it's Red Mule, but I'm not sure. I'm having one of them, what you call it, identity crises.
Yeah.
But let me bring up a couple of other subjects first, then I'll get back to that. This thing about the driver shortage in Colorado, horse bucky Steve. There may be a shortage of drivers that are willing to work cheap, but there ain't a shortage of drivers if they'll pay them enough. They're trying to make this more complicated than it's got to be. I used to haul for years with my backhaul going back west out of the south. I used to haul paint. Some of it was hazmat loads. They'd give me a $500 premium for hauling a hazmat load, even if there's only a couple of buckets on there. Then Snyder and Warner came in, started cutting our throats, and they dropped that premium to $100. Guess what? I ain't going to haul no hazmat load for $100. So I wouldn't do it. And the same thing, they pay them enough money, they won't have a shortage of tanker drivers up there. They try and make this more complicated than it's got to be. So. Hey, Steve, I know you got a son in law enforcement, and a lot of us, I had a brother-in-law that was, and a lot of us got relatives in law enforcement. I know that it's a stressful and a hazardous occupation, but sometimes it has a slighter moment. I was coming down 93 from Vegas, Kingman the other day. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 102 degrees. see this Arizona State Trooper off on the side there. Actually, two of them there. It's a 4-lane road there, Steve. It's not interstate. They have the crossroads there, and so when they have the turnouts for the slow down ramp and everything, it's actually 3 lanes on each side. Had a vehicle pulled over there, and he was in the turnoff lane there, and they were parked behind him, blocking the traffic and everything. They had him out there on the side road doing that, what you call it, roadside sobriety test.
Yeah, field sobriety test. Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen, he was out there in a T-shirt and shorts and his cowboy boots, so he made a pretty picture to start with. They had him there with his lip. Arms outstretched. It kind of reminded me, what was that movie, Karate Kid, where he was doing that fancy stuff?
Right.
One officer on each side behind him. I reckon they was there to catch him if he lost his balance. And if that was caught on their dash cam, I got an idea that might have been shown several times when them boys got off duty that night. But a man should have laughed about something like that, but it was funny, Steve, if you Steve, you talking about this here drought out there in the West. That's what I was going to call you last night about this, and I'm trying to do a little more research so I could be a little more accurate about what I had to say, but I couldn't find exactly what I wanted. Out there in Arizona, we got a lot of dams on the Gila and Salt and all these other rivers out there. And back in the 70s, I want to talk about San Carlos Lake. I don't know if you want to bother to pull this up or not, but San Carlos Lake was behind Coolidge Dam down there. I believe it was built back in the 20s. And they say that the thing was, I think it was 50 years to build up to the top before it ever went over the overflow. Well, in the mid-70s, the lake was down. When I was a kid, Steve, in the 60s, we used to go down there and do a little fishing. I'm not much fisherman, but we used to go down and get some largemouth bass, and one time I went down and caught some humongous catfish. But anyhow, in the 70s, the fish in there, I don't know, got some kind of disease or something. And so the game and fish decided they were going to drain the whole lake and kill all the fish that were in there. Get rid of the disease. And I don't know how well that worked, but anyhow, all the locals around there, we all said, well, they ain't never going to see that lake filled up again. Wrong. I don't know if it was climate change or what it was, but Steve, within a little over a year, they had a snowy winter down in the desert, and a lot of rain, and I believe it was about 15 months, might have been 18 months. That lake was back up, going over the spillway down there, just filled it up within, like I say, 15, 18 months. Now, you reckon that was climate change that caused that lake to fill back up there in that short a time?
I just say that the climate runs in cycles. I guess it fills up and empties out from time to time.
Yep. That's my opinion of it. Like I say, that's back in the 70s where anybody ever talked about global warming or climate change or anything. The reason I bring that up, now it may not happen, but it may. They say Lake Mead's down to 37% or something like that of its capacity. And I go by there and I see it is. So it may fill back up and it may surprise everybody when it happens. Now, I just kind of wonder what all these climate change people are going to blame that on if that does happen. So, yeah, I wanted to throw that out. Steve, I got this identity crisis here. Something happened to me the other day that just kind of upset me a little bit. Now, Boss and I was in Costco, and you know how it is. You get in there, a bunch of people in there, and time to time you keep running into the same people pushing your cart around. 3 boys, I shouldn't call them boys, they're in their 30s. I think they're brothers. Big boys, though, Steve. The one I didn't come quite up to his spell, I might come up to his shoulder. And about the third time we run into him, I told him, well, that kid's got to be 7 that guy's got to be 7 foot tall. I barely come to his shoulder. And it so happened that when we checked out, we were in line side them. And so she went over to him and said, how tall are you? He said, I'm 6'7". And she said, well, my husband thought you about 7 foot tall. I said, no, I'm only 6'7". And we got out of the car and stopped. I said, I understand that. I sure thought he was taller than that. Well, a couple of days later, my daughter and her family come down there, and we stand there in the kitchen, and second granddaughter was standing there beside me. Wife said, Kate, how tall are you? I said, you almost tall as Grandpa. And she said, I'm 5'8". I said, oh, you got to be taller than that. And I reached in there and grabbed a tape measure and held it up to her. She had shoes on. She's 5'9". This thing gives look at me in the eye. There's something strange going on here. Steve, I went in the bathroom there, and I got that label put on my head, put up the door jam. I'm lost, Steve, in the last 15 years. I guess I've lost 2 inches. I ain't as tall as I used to be. I'm thinking, Steve, I'm going to have to change my name from Red Mule to Short Mule. What do you think?
There you go.
Could you please play for me that song by Marty Robbins about Mr. Shorty?
Mr. Shorty.
That's all I got for Steve.
Okay. All right. Good to hear from you, Red Mule. Thank you for checking in. Be safe out there. Let me see here. Who we got on the line? I'm not sure. Is this Colton? Maybe not. Who we got?
Dirty Diaper.
Dirty Diaper.
Dirty
Okay.
Diaper.
All right. That's quite the handle.
My boy. The night that follows Steve Sommers. Many, 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 many years. I go back with you and Papa Bear, Hollywood. Lost you dead. My son told me that Steve Sommers back on the radio.
Yes.
Well, how you been? Who you been? Where you been? But I gotta go back to Lisa, and I can't remember your son's name, but you had a lot of problems with him.
When he was a young one, he was a little hellraiser.
Number one. I can remember when you taken him to a penitentiary to get him educated. I remember when your daughter sung at Brooklyn.
At his wedding, yes.
At Trucker Show. Now, and I remember Cable Guy, the last Cable Guy. I was on the radio with y'all that night. He's with you and your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I go back about 30 years.
Yeah, you're right. Boy, oh boy. So now your son tells us you got a little battle with cancer going on.
Yeah, I got a little bit of right side neck cancer going on. July the 13th, they're gonna try to remove it, and so it's about a 7-mile operation. Y'all pray for me. I still truck. I still got my own authority. I still haul ice cream for Unilevers, and I still have a ball doing it. And I enjoy people. And I go up and down the road leading people to Jesus Christ. I'm 82 years old. I still pass a physical every year. But I don't know about this one coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That's in God's hands, Steve. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to take his hand with it. But it does me a lot of good. I buried my wife. And my son told me that you still had Lisa.
Yes.
I buried my son. I buried my baby boy. And God did it ever hurt, too.
Yeah, I bet.
And yes, it does. And you still got to where is your son now?
He's still in Cincinnati. He's actually a police officer now.
See, we all got hope. Now, if we remember what your son was, he's a first-class hell raiser. And what you and your wife went through. But look how he has turned out.
Yep.
That's what we got to look. I know. I miss you. I'm sorry you lost your dad, but I'm sorry you lost Lumpy. But you and Lumpy were not that close, were you?
Nah, she was what do you call it, stepmom, and we weren't the closest. My real mom is doing well. I still get to see her on a regular basis, and
how many times was Bozo married?
It's three or four. I kind of lose track. I think there was actually four when all was said and done.
Well, I think I've married four. And me and Bozo collaborated a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see. I use Hot Shot 3. I'm a sworn believer in Hot Shot. I run it in the crankcase twice a year, to half a gallon. Every twice a year, I put it in there. And I've got 2 million miles on the old truck. Still holding up good, still running good, still aggravating everybody out there on the road.
That's a good thing.
And
after all these years, you're not ready to hang up the keys. You want to keep trucking?
I do, Steve. Let me tell you why. You go down the road on this pandemic. I got to say it, not going to with a restaurant. I'm going to leave you a $5 tip, right? Okay, now, if you can tell me 3 things that's in the Bible that God cannot do, I will give you a $50 tip. So, Steve, you're not offended nobody. You haven't got nobody mad at you yet. And a lot of waitresses this day and time can use $50.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, God do anything. No, he can't. He can't do anything. There's 3 things he cannot do. So you what I know, you tell me. And I get a kick out of it. I lead them to Christ. Some I do, some I don't. But I've led quite a few people. Last week, I had a brochure bookmarker printed up that from fear to fear not. I am your God. I will tote you in my victorious right hand. And I've got you back. Isaiah 41:10. I'm not quoting it right. But if you look at it and think about it, that's reading them still out on the road. No, I don't want to hang up the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There might be somebody out there that we can save from going to hell. I know your son. I've never met him, but I know him. And like you said, he was a hell raiser. I know you done everything under the power. I don't know what, but I'm saying Jesus Christ stepped in his place there and led him to it. And you and Lisa are reaping the benefits. I'm sorry you lost your dad, because your dad was one of my favorite people. Is Hollywood still around now?
Yes, Hollywood he's still kicking. He's still got Judy, and I think they're doing pretty well. He's obviously retired. He's not even doing his podcast radio thing anymore, to my knowledge.
Really? You could probably tell me more about it. He had a whole bankroll, went down someplace and bought out a bunch of records and was selling them years back. I remember that, your dad talking about it, when your dad moved down to Wildwood. And I lost all contact when your dad died. Can't remember who the other man was real close to your dad, but he was a truck driver. Who was he?
Oh, boy, he had so many of them over the years. I wouldn't have a clue.
He did.
Yeah. I mean, he was close with Yoda. Yoda would be over at his house oftentimes.
Yoda. Yoda. That's it. Yoda. Yeah, he was. But you sound a lot like him. You stepping in his shoes. I'm glad that you're out there still picking up the slack. And just remember, I love you. Y'all pray for me on. Don't quit praying for Dirty Diaper, because I'm one of the oldest out there.
Yes, sir.
I ain't the oldest, but
you could use a little divine intervention right about now.
Oh, I could. I'm sitting there. My son told me, said, Dad, you need to get up, call Steve. I told Steve about you steal truck. And I said, well, praise God. We still love to do what we do.
That's great.
There's a lot of room out there for Jesus Christ in the trucking industry. And if I can help you in any way, you got my number there, you call me. I ain't got no money, but I got the love of Jesus Christ. My daddy got all kind of money. So I'll give anything I got to you. Best of luck to you and Lisa. How many grandchildren you got now?
A young Stephen has 2. He has a boy and a girl, and I think they're done. They've got what they wanted. And my daughter has a boy, and little Rowan is now 9 years old. So, see how much time has passed us by? Yes.
When time flies.
Yes, it does.
I bet it stays a lot of time with you and Lisa, right?
Yes, much as we can. Well, Dirty Diapers, It's great to hear from you. And, if you're up late at night, be safe. And, we'll all say a prayer for you. Battling a little bout of cancer here, so hope all goes well with the surgery they've got planned for you. Boy, a little step down memory lane. Yeah, obviously I've met him, but how many years ago was that? When my young daughter at the time, little Beth, actually sang at the wedding there for Brooklyn at the Mid-America Truck Show. They got married there at the show. Remember that? That's a bunch of years ago. All right, it's 844-844-3388. Tell you what, we got open lines here, wide open lines as we roll into a Wednesday. Let's get our NTPA update. Josh just got this to me as we get ready for the next round of action coming up starting Thursday, as a matter of fact. They're in Wisconsin.
48 pullers answer the bell in Paulding, summer arrives in Maumee Valley, and Dakota is truck country. From National Tractor Pullers Association headquarters in Columbus, Ohio, this is the NTPA Overnight Radio Report. The NTPA's regional reach extended from Toledo to Bismarck over this past weekend as both the Region 2 and Region 3 seasons continue to ramp up. Paulding, Ohio kicked off the Buckeye State's fair season with the Paulding County Fair Pull on Friday, June 18th. In light pro stock tractors, Sean Thornhill's Missy's Pissy International 1086 was in no mood to argue as Thornhill edged fellow Greenville, Ohio native Mike Palmer's Red Avenger Classic by less than 3 inches. Eric Huck was a winner in his NTPA debut in stainless diesel diesel 3.0 Pro Stock trucks. The man from College Corner, Ohio, took the upperclassmen to school, including defending champ Jeff Hostler with his slightly overworked Dodge. Germantown, Ohio's Alan Judy showed that his trusty 3 Chevy configuration is no dinosaur, as his Raptor flew out to 337 feet to top Todd Feist's Snow Farmer in modifieds. And the regular season debut for the unnamed John Deere 5020 Limited Pro Stock of Jay Ruff went super smooth, as he knocked off Chris Lear's Badger Deere by 8 feet in a rematch of Shipshawana Spring Nationals competitors. 3 of those classes, the Limiteds, the Mods, and the 3.0 trucks, journeyed 45 minutes northeast on Saturday, June 19th to the Maumee Valley Summer Nationals at the Fulton County Fairgrounds in Wauseon, Ohio, which will also host the Tri-State Showdown this Labor Day weekend. Joining those 3 classes were modified minis, 4-wheel drive trucks, and Super Farm tractors. In Super Farm, Clayton, Michigan's Brad Hart had all the answers with his Don't Ask Case IH, which topped the field at 344 feet. In minis, Scott Van Antwerp scored his 2nd career national win with Playin' Dirty, which beat chassis builder and fellow Western Michigander Todd Boltman's Stress Relief by over a frame length. The spark-plugged 4-wheelers saw Fillmore, Indiana's Zering team dominate, as son Ike's Bucket List beat Dad Jake's Fatheads Eyewear by 5.5 feet to take the class of 20. Family sport? You bet, as the father-daughter team of Rob and Carmen Foster were 3rd and 4th. In Limited Pros, Chris Lear's Deere was top tier, with a Reedstown, Wisconsin-based 60-30 claiming 1st place and a points lead in the Eastern region. Son Collins Darien Deere was 3rd, behind Travis Weisel's Irrational Behavior. Nick Stom's Frank, the 1970 Dodge Power Wagon from nearby Stryker, Ohio, hauled home the 3.0 Diesel's trophy in its famous gun rack. Shipshawana sweeper C.W. Cartmel was 2nd and Hostler 3rd. And in modifieds, the husband-wife tandem of Todd and Terry Feist from Lawrenceburg, Indiana, outran the field in a decidedly ag-themed top 3. Their Snow Farmer and Feisty Farmer, respectively, were followed up by Ken Miller's Corn and Soybean Special. In all, fans who took in both nights of NTPA action got to witness 126 hooks over 10 classes and 10 different winners to kick off a long summer of thrilling Region 2 competition across Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Meanwhile, about 130 miles due west of Fargo, the Dakota Speedway in Mandan, North Dakota, hosted the Rough Rider Truck Pull, featuring modified and super stock 4-wheel drive trucks, and for the first time in its 4 years of existence, supercharged 2-wheel drive trucks. There, Gavin Wangen's Back 40 Classic Chevrolet from Harmony, Minnesota, became the event's first wheel stander winner, edging Dustin Amundsen's Bottoms Up by 1.5 feet. The Gopher State winning continued, as Young America's Ryan Molnau and his Blue Streak Chevy finished just ahead of Tim Carta's Pulling for Autism in the Superstock class. And in the modifieds, Clarissa, Minnesota's Lawrence Lyons snagged one for the Blue Ovals, as his totally hooked Ford rolled past 362 feet to claim the class of 14. Corey Johnson's Mr. Awesome from Powell, Wyoming, took the runner-up spot. There's still time to make plans to attend the Budweiser Dairyland NTPA Nationals in Tomah, Wisconsin this weekend, Thursday through Saturday, June 24th through 26th. Details are at tomahtractorpull.com. But if you just can't make it for all 5 sessions, watch it live or on demand via the NTPA's over-the-top streaming service at ntpa.tv. And it's not too early to look ahead to upcoming Grand Nationals in Dodge City, Kansas, and Rockwell, Iowa, as NTPA Championship pulling heats up across America. Visit ntpapull.com for news, schedules, results, and point standings for the heaviest sport on wheels. Reporting for the NTPA on the Overnight Drive, I'm John Dunlap. Stay safe and pull hard.
There you go, the full update. And once don't forget, coming up Thursday, this Thursday, as the action gets underway there at the Budweiser Dairyland Nationals, Josh will be coming your way live via the Facebook, the Hot Shot Secret Facebook weekly live show. You'll catch that then, again, 1:30 Eastern time. And check out some of the pulling action. Should be an exciting weekend there in Wisconsin. All right, we wrap things up for hour number 1. Get a news update here. Wide open lines, jump on board here. We'll come back with much more to cover as we make our way into a Wednesday. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
The White House acknowledged that its goal of having 70% of American adults receive at least one dose of COVID vaccine by July 4th will not be met. Jeff Zients, the White House's COVID response coordinator, said Tuesday that about 150 million American adults are currently vaccinated, short of the administration's goal of 160 million. Zients added that the administration will now focus on getting younger Americans immunized, pushing particularly for 18 to 26-year-olds to get their shots. And a sweeping elections reform bill pushed by congressional Democrats has been blocked by Senate Republicans. In a Tuesday vote, the For the People Act was blocked from being brought to the floor for a debate by a 50-50 tally. 60 votes were needed to advance the proposal. The bill would have been the largest overhaul of the electoral system in decades, a measure Democrats say is needed as states have been passing their own election reform bills in the wake of last November's election. This is USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Wayne Alaroot. John and Chelsea Jubilee with Energized Health are regular guests on my show, sharing their breakthrough science of intercellular hydration. I love John and Chelsea. The results? People lose fat fast while eating many of the foods they love. You can too. Plus, supercharge your energy, boost your immune system, look and feel years younger. It's simple and natural without painful exercises. How do I know? Because I just completed my first 88 days on the program and I've lost 25 pounds of fat. I'm getting hydrated at the cellular level, but don't just take my word for it. Go to EnergizedHealth.com and check out hundreds of amazing testimonials. For all the details, click on the red button at EnergizedHealth.com. Watch the masterclass. It's free. Or cut to the chase. Join right now at 888-444-8895. Join me, 888-444-8895. Mention war and get 40% off. 40%. Go now to EnergizedHealth.com, 888-444-8895 or EnergizedHealth.com.
Health officials are emphasizing the importance of getting vaccinated against COVID as the Delta variant of the virus is now being detected in 20% of tests being sequenced. The strain first identified in India spreads more rapidly than the original virus and is becoming the dominant strain worldwide. Top White House medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says that areas with low vaccination rates could see local surges of infections because of the new variant.
There will be local type of regional spikes and outbreaks. I don't foresee what we refer to as a surge as we have known it, namely the three major surges that we've experienced over the past year and a half. I don't think even under those circumstances that you're going to see things like 1,000 deaths a day. I think that is a bit much, but there is a danger, a real danger, that if there is a persistence of a recalcitrance to getting vaccinated, that you could see localized surges.
You're listening to USA Radio News.
Look, bud, I said your money or your life. I'm thinking it over.
The Great Gildersleeve. The new Edgar Bergen Hour with Charlie McCarthy.
Now, if you help me, I'll mow you down.
3 hours a day, 7 days a week of the greatest radio shows of all time. Classic Radio Theater. Available on many of these radio stations or available on demand anytime at any podcast app by searching USA Classic Radio Theater. USA Classic Radio Theater.
The Taliban continue to add to their military victories in Afghanistan as the Pentagon claims the withdrawal of the remaining estimated 3,500 troops remains on pace. John Clemens reports.
Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in contact with operational commanders in Afghanistan, but the troop withdrawal remains on pace.
It is a dynamic situation, and we've said that from the very beginning, which means that he and the chairman, General McKenzie, are constantly looking at the pace we're going at and the capabilities we have and the capabilities that we're going to need throughout to complete the withdrawal.
Peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban were taking place in Qatar, but have stalled. From the USA Radio News Texas Bureau, I'm John Clemens.
And a Colorado mayor has tried to cancel the Pledge of Allegiance. Lance Pry explains.
Shane Furman, the mayor of Silverton, Colorado, announced at a trustee meeting last week that the Pledge of Allegiance will be suspended. Attendees had a different idea.
I'm sorry, but that's to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd note that that's out of order, and we did have a one-strike policy. I'm not going to ask everyone to leave tonight, but if something like that happens again, we will.
From the West Coast, USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
And for USA Radio News, I'm Dan Naraki.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
ultra-low sulfur fuels.
The primary function of diesel fuel is combustibility. One of the little-known aspects of fuel is its role as a lubricant to metal-on-metal moving parts. The introduction of ultra-low sulfur fuels diminishes the fuel's ability to lubricate because sulfur, which has been mostly removed, has lubricating properties. Hot Shot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment with LX4 delivers unmatched lubricity. Third-party testing confirms that it takes 3 times the amount of leading fuel treatment to match the lubrication benefit of 1 dose of Hot Shot Secret. Everyday Diesel Treatment is a fully formulated 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
The Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios. Call Steve now, 844-844-3388. That's 844-844-3388.
Yes, indeed. We are coming your way live here on a Wednesday, midweek coming on. And took advantage of the clear lines. Hey, we got our phone reset. We're set to roll till 5 a.m. Eastern Time. So jump on board at 844-844-3388. All right, some of the other industry headlines as we get things underway for our second hour this morning. Looks like no one hurt but a load of lumber that shut down the on-ramp in North Carolina this past afternoon. New Hanover County, about 2:15. Reports showed the driver was trying to merge onto I-40 north at the on-ramp. The load shifted, apparently, causing the rig to overturn in the middle of the roadway. Driver told WECT News he was on his way to the 84 Lumber in Wrightsboro. He says, I wasn't going fast. Not clear if any citations were issued in the incident. Next on the list, also out of North Carolina, there's a task force that's been formed in an effort to save a major North Carolina highway that's prone to flooding from storms. North Carolina Highway 12 runs from the Oregon Inlet to Hatteras Village. It's broken up by a ferry ride and then continues on to Ocracoke. 67 miles of this main highway on the Outer Banks that are vulnerable to storms and rising sea levels, occasionally leaving tourists stranded due to flooded roadways. You're on the island, you can't get off the island sort of scenario. This task force they put together consists of federal, state, and local agencies who've already seen some mixed success in the building of bridges and the enlargement of sand dunes, trying to fix the flooding there. Despite the challenges involved in saving and improving the road, Dare County manager and chairman of the subcommittee on the task force says that saving the road is crucial for the 9 towns and villages that it connects. Plus, the highway facilitates much of the $1.2 billion in tourism revenue, as far as the Outer Banks are concerned, every year. All right, on to... This is pretty interesting out of Toronto. Police said this past day that a 7-month investigation into the use of what they call modified drug smuggling tractor trailers has led to the largest international drug takedown in the agency's history. This past day, the Toronto Police Service held a major press conference announcing the results of what they called Project Brisa, an investigation into an international drug smuggling ring that used tractor trailers as the key component of their efforts. This ring was allegedly responsible for transporting cocaine, crystal meth, and marijuana between Mexico, California, and Canada. The smuggling effort hinged on the use of big rigs that were equipped with hydraulic traps capable of smuggling up to 100 kilos of illicit substance at a time. After launching this investigation last November, police identified a person known as the Trap Maker, who was allegedly responsible for building these high-level hidden compartments in the tractor trailers with the express purpose of smuggling large amounts of contraband across borders. Superintendent Steve Watts of the Organized Crime Enforcement Unit said that the traps were very sophisticated to the point where X-rays were not able to penetrate them. 43-year-old Jason Hall of Surrey, British Columbia, was later identified as the Trap Maker. He turned himself into police last week, charged with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense and participation in a criminal organization. 20 other people, including one minor, were arrested in connection with the investigation. There are 2 suspects still at large. Those 22 people are facing a total of 182 charges collectively. Get a load of some of the numbers here. During the investigation, police seized 444 kilos of cocaine, 182 kilos of crystal meth, 427 kilos of marijuana, hundreds of oxycodone pills, just shy of $1 million in currency, 21 vehicles, including 5 tractor trailers, and 1 firearm. But incredible amounts of drugs taken off the streets, essentially. All right, we'll get to one other industry headline before we get back to your calls, which plenty of room for you at 844-844-3388. All right, Minneapolis. We're all familiar with Minneapolis, a place where most truck drivers don't even want to go in this day and age. Never know when you're going to get caught up in a riot in the streets there. This is probably just going to add to your list of reasons why you don't want to go to Minneapolis. And I have a sneaky suspicion there may be some drivers that say, you know what, you can take your city and shove it. This week, city officials in Minneapolis are going to vote on a controversial proposal that would effectively ban drivers from parking a semi-truck in the city limits under any circumstances. Maybe we should say many circumstances. Today, at some point, the vote will take place on the ordinance to forbid truck parking within city limits. There's just a few exceptions, they say. Under this ordinance, quote, no vehicle or hitched or unhitched combination with or without a load, which weighs more than 26,000 pounds or is registered for a gross weight of more than 26,000 pounds, shall be permitted to stop, stand, or park on any street unless one of the following exceptions is met. Number 1, during the loading or unloading of passengers. Number 2, when the vehicle is stopped, parked, or standing in compliance with specially posted signals or signs regulating the weight of a vehicle or combination, or at the direction of an authorized traffic control agent or police officer. Fine for violating the parking ban would be $150 starting January 1st of next year through December 31st. Then after that, it's bumped up to $250, which garnered a statement from the Minnesota Trucking Association, which they obviously oppose. The Minnesota Trucking Association strongly opposes the truck parking ban under consideration by the city of Minneapolis. If approved, this ban would force truck drivers to park outside of the city, which would impede on-time deliveries and disrupt daily commerce. The city's pursuing this action at a time when there's a serious shortage of safe parking options for trucks in the Twin Cities and across the state. Every day, professional drivers deliver the essential food, medicine, products, materials, and supplies to our communities and local businesses. Through the worst days of the pandemic, truck drivers played a critical role in supporting our local supply chains that continue to be stretched to their limits. Many of the trucks parked overnight are owned by independent contractors who live in Minneapolis. These small businesses, many of which are owned by minorities, who would have no viable alternative for overnight parking, this ban would effectively force many of these hardworking residents to choose between their livelihood and the place they call home. With an existing truck driver shortage, we simply cannot afford to have qualified drivers leaving the industry. We should be looking for ways to provide more safe parking for truck drivers instead of pursuing a policy that would diminish an essential industry and do real economic harm to the city. We call on the Minneapolis City Council to craft a fundamentally fair policy that balances parking management concerns with the essential services truck drivers provide. We would welcome the opportunity to work with leaders to develop a smart solution. They share some facts. 96.5% of manufactured tonnage is transported by trucks in Minnesota. 21,560 trucking companies are located in Minnesota. Most of these are small, locally owned. Heavy and tractor-trailer truck drivers hold 35,150 jobs with an average salary of just over $50,000 in the state. Either way, the Minnesota Trucking Association is recommending that local drivers sign up to speak out against this ordinance there in Minneapolis. So we want our food, we want our services, we want our supplies, but we don't want you damn truck drivers parking on our streets. Have we heard that little scenario before? All right, let's see here. We'll get back to the calls. Plenty of room for you at 844-844-3388. Well, let's see what's going on with the Beaver Squeezer tonight.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm doing well.
I have not called in a couple weeks. You brought up a very good point about Minneapolis. I trucked Minnesota, and Minnesota is the nicest people on the planet. I just spent my birthday in Nashville, and a lot of what we down here in the South call snowbirds were down there, and I ran into it was not the best birthday I've ever had, dealing with those northerners up there. But Minnesota has the nicest people on the planet. I don't know what's going on in Minneapolis. I don't know why they keep voting those mayors and city council members in. But, let's not down the whole damn state for this. Truckers get a bad rap. No matter what we've done, our whole damn careers, we get a bad rap. What is your opinion on, there's never been enough parking. There's just never been enough truck parking, ever. That's why I get up at 3:30 and go to work in the morning, and so I shut my truck down at 3:30 in the afternoon so I can get a place to park. And I've trucked long enough to know that I know where the truck stops are that give good service. I like the mom and pops. I don't like the chain.
Right.
But trucking companies today, when you get your CDL in 2 short weeks, and trucking companies have layers of layers and layers and layers of insurance. You were just talking about a trucker who rolled his truck over with a load of lumber. And you and I both know I'm a flatbedder. That's all I do. I'm a flatbedder. And he said, well, I wasn't going too fast. Yeah, you were, driver. Yes, you were. If you rolled your truck over, you were going too fast. And I just saw on Good Morning America, I think it was, they showed a short video clip of a piece of lumber coming off a truck and going through somebody's windshield this morning. That's never happened to me. I drove for 25 years, and I never had anything fall off my truck. That's just, it doesn't happen if you're a professional.
I guess they call it load securement, right? And supposedly this, the truck that rolled over, supposedly his load shifted, and that's why his truck turned over. And all I know is he says he wasn't going too fast. But what causes a load to shift? Is it improper securement? I guess that would be the next question. All right, Beaver Squeezer, thanks for checking in. It's been a while. All right, wide open lines here on a Wednesday. Hump Day coming on. It's 844-844-3388. I guess Joe Biden's gaffes, they're going to continue, and they're going to get worse. It's some official in D.C. talking about that over a couple of days ago. I think I still have the story back here. But yesterday, have you ever heard of the actual president of the United States pretty much being kind of put on lockdown, not allowed to speak with reporters? That's what's going on with Joe. The White House Monday blocked President Biden from speaking with reporters about a signature administration effort on entitlements. The Biden administration kicked off a messaging push to promote the child tax credit. But Biden was not scheduled to speak to reporters. Families will begin receiving monthly payments in their bank accounts of $250 or more per child starting next month in July. Now, this is a massive entitlement program that was part of the $1.9 trillion COVID rescue plan. Biden was not part of the White House number one messaging strategy that day. His daily schedule for Monday featured a meeting with financial regulators at 1:45 in the afternoon. It was closed to the press. Instead, the White House sent Vice President Kamala Harris to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to deliver a speech on the issue. Then the White House issues a 430-word statement, supposedly from Biden, Monday afternoon, to promote the program. They said it read like one of his teleprompter speeches, carefully constructed by his press aides. No surprise. Monday morning, Press Secretary Jen Psaki was on CBS This Morning talking about the tax credit. Press staff also sent messaging promoting the program on social media using the president's account to share pre-approved statements. White House staff pretty much sidelining Biden after a series of blunders that he made in front of the press. Friday, he had veered off message during an event promoting vaccines. When he responded to a reporter asking for his reaction to the Catholic bishops voting to write a statement clarifying the church's position on denying communion to pro-abortion political figures. To which Biden said that that's a private matter. I don't think that's going to happen. Then he had the little incident where he snapped at the CNN reporter after his summit with Vladimir Putin. He kind of veered off his list of questions that the press staff had prepared for him, imploding his effort to show the world he was able to handle tough questions. Of course, he did apologize later for losing his temper. All right? Sleepy Joe. Psaki revealed that she tells the president not to take questions from reporters. She said she's trying to reduce the amount of access they have to Biden. We're never going to satisfy the White House press corps in their desire for access. I think there have been mistakes made in the past trying to do that. Being interviewed by her former boss, David Axelrod, he acknowledged it. It's hard to keep Biden on message. He went on to say, Jen's doing a good job of managing him. How many times have we heard Joe expressing concerns that he's going to get in trouble with his staff? I'm going to get in trouble for talking to reporters. He's the president of the United States. I'm going to get in trouble. Reporters have also noted the heightened control efforts taking place by his aides. Even CNN sparked a controversy on social media, noting on the air that Biden struggles to speak to reporters while aides are all screaming at him to stop. I've never seen a president, and I've covered the last 4 of them, I've never seen a president so protected by his aides, and that coming from CNN, no less. Very interesting. All right, what are we looking at? News break time coming up here. Another quiet morning on the phones. Jump on in at 844-844-3388. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
The international community continues to look for ways to push China to fully cooperate with an investigation into the origins of COVID-19. Senator Lindsey Graham believes that the U.S. needs a place to lay out the evidence that the virus leaked from a Chinese lab. The South Carolina Republican tells Fox News that Congress should allow Americans to sue China over COVID.
We need to allow the American people to go to an American court and sue the Chinese Communist Party for ruining their lives and their businesses by waiving sovereign immunity like we did after 9/11 for Saudi Arabia. So I'm going to challenge my Democratic colleagues to open the American court system up so we can get to the bottom of what happened in China. The best way to get to the truth is to have a trial over where it came from and how it got to America. And I'm convinced this came from a lab leak. I don't think it was an intentional, but it didn't come from nature.
This is USA Radio News.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS and you cannot afford to make payments to the IRS, you may qualify for the CNC tax program. This is a new program, and if you qualify, you won't make any payments to the IRS while in this program. Once you're accepted into this program, the IRS is forced to stop all harassing collection activities. No threatening phone calls, no wage garnishments, no bank levies, and no more monthly payments to the IRS. Get ready to write this number down. It's the most important number you'll ever need to end your IRS tax nightmare. Call Paramount Tax Relief at 800-547-4804 for a free confidential consultation to find out if you qualify for the CNC tax program. Once you are accepted into the CNC tax program, you won't make any payments to the IRS while in this program. Call Paramount Tax Relief now at 800-547-4804. That's 800-547-4804. Again, 800-547-4804.
Live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme.
Today's ultra-low sulfur fuels are cleaner, but they leave injector deposits, causing frequent DPF regens and low throttle response. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is a 6-in-1 fuel additive recommended for all diesel engines. It is formulated with the most concentrated detergent on the market, a top-tier level cetane booster, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer. Diesel Extreme is a once every 6-month treatment that will clean your entire fuel system, starting at the fuel tank and traveling throughout the fuel lines and fuel pump, and finally completely cleaning your injectors. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme improves your diesel's fuel economy and eliminates excessive black smoke.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Drivers, you demand that your equipment's reliable and dependable, and that also applies to your headset for communication. Well, our friends at Stellar Electronic have you covered. The Pluto Duo headset bundle is the best communication headset you can find in the industry. No matter the challenging environment you're driving in, the Pluto headset will make you sound crystal clear all the time thanks to their 99% noise cancellation. And the Duo's not only a stereo converter for the headset, but also a power bank so you can charge as you go. Learn more at StellarElectronic.com or visit them on Facebook.
Are you having trouble sleeping? Are you tired all the time? Growing older is a fact of life. Our skin starts to wrinkle, muscles get weaker, and our energy levels plummet. If there was a product that may help you slow down these symptoms of aging, would you be interested? I want you to go to getonthegel.com. That is getonthegel.com. Watch this 4-minute video that explains more about this amazing product. Or call us at Youth Fountain HGH today at 513-472-0699 for more information.
Diesel Army is on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Burning the midnight oil with the best diesel coverage. All the tech, all the torque. Diesel Army, where there's smoke, there's fire. For the latest news and event coverage, as well as feature and tech articles, sign up for the newsletter and don't miss a thing. Visit dieselarmy.com from the Power Auto Media family of digital magazines. Again, it's dieselarmy.com.
For anything diesel, take it to Scheid Diesel. They provide a wide variety of services and diagnostics to determine what the problem is with the latest technology. From simple oil changes and preventative maintenance to fuel system diagnostics and repairs, engine rebuilds and cylinder head repairs, and rebuilds with our in-house machine shop. They also have on-site DPF cleaning for exhaust issues and DOT inspections. If your diesel is asking for some attention, Scheid Diesel has the specialist you need for anything diesel. Located in Terre Haute and Lafayette, Indiana, and Effingham, Illinois, Scheid Diesel has you covered.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. Are you tired of those tax problems following you around like a dark cloud, always in the back of your mind, losing sleep at night? Call me now and get your life back. 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. Pretending they're not there won't make them go away. The IRS isn't going to forget. They will levy your bank account and garnish your wages. Don't wait for that to happen. I'm not telling you these things to scare you. I'm telling you so you can benefit from my years of experience. Now is the time to act. 888-557-4020.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Keep the bugs off your glass and the smokies off your ass. This is the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
And we did have a chance to speak to the inbred redneck think it was our final hour last night. I neglected to mention anything about cryptocurrency, which they are saying it's been a week from hell for crypto fans, who are now being warned that their investments are essentially worthless. Well, according to a leading author. Here's the scoop from the land down under. The market, the report says the market's crashing. The biggest token is in a death cross. China's cracked down hard on their assets. Bitcoin slumped below $30,000 overnight. That threshold sparks fear of a major sell-off and a potential market collapse. Now, it did recover fairly well before Australian investors woke up for their morning coffee. But overall, the trend has not been positive this week. Digital tokens have taken a huge hit across the board after weeks of concerns about the environmental impact of mining the coins and increased government scrutiny. It's a recipe for disaster that has some analysts warning the slump is reminiscent of the Black Tuesday crash that brought on the Great Depression in 1929. One of those who's particularly scathing of the emerging tokens is Nassim Taleb, a highly respected mathematician and author who's published a brutal takedown on his website this week. He says he has crunched the numbers and come up with the conclusion. The conclusion: cryptocurrency is worth exactly zero. And there's no evidence that blockchain, the process used to record transactions, is a useful technology. Now, several years ago, he wrote that Bitcoin was, at the time, quote, an excellent idea, but appears he's changed his mind big time. In a paper entitled Bitcoin, Currencies and Bubbles, he said, in its current version, in spite of the hype, Bitcoin failed to satisfy the notion of currency without government. It proved to not even be a currency at all. It can be neither a short or a long-term store of value. Its expected value is no higher than zero. It cannot operate as a reliable inflation hedge. And worst of all, it does not constitute, not even remotely, a tail protection vehicle for catastrophic episodes. The total failure in Bitcoin becoming a currency has been masked by the inflation of the currency value, generating paper profits for large enough a number of people to enter the discourse well ahead of its utility. And then he goes on to argue it cannot be a short or long-term score of value. He looked at the comparison of gold versus Bitcoin, which he said is not wise to do. Gold and other precious metals are largely maintenance-free. They do not degrade over a historical horizon. They do not require maintenance to refresh their physical properties over time. Cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, require a sustained amount of interest in them. Finally, he argued, Bitcoin is not a safe haven for investments in a volatile world. To protect against nefarious governments or other catastrophes, not even remotely. He pointed to the market panic back in March last year when Bitcoin sank lower than the share market. Then he went on to point out the ransom payments, the Colonial Pipeline, the cyber attacks, which, if you'll recall, the FBI was able to track and supposedly actually recover. After all this word about blockchain technology, no one knows who's behind that digital wallet. That apparently is a complete falsity. Government structures and computational power will remain stronger than those of distributed operators. While distrusting one another, you can fall prey to simple hoaxes. He also hit out at the technology that Bitcoin relies on, the blockchain. There's no evidence that we're getting a great technology unless great technology doesn't mean useful. And the crypto fans are keen to point out that he's changed his tune. It's a far cry from what he was saying in 2017 when he said it was an excellent idea. Now, what happened to Bitcoin overnight? It rebounded slightly after it plunged to below that dreaded 30,000 threshold. But again, analysts are warning investors you may be headed towards a catastrophic crash. It went from $33,000 down to $28,814 at one point in time, according to CoinDesk. At that point, it was trading at its lowest since January 4th, wiping out all the gains it had seen this year. So when you reach certain thresholds, they say that prompts other investors to start panicking, and you could see a mass sell-off. And everything kind of goes in a downward spiral. Now, supposedly all the other cryptos were also hit hard. I did pull up some of the latest from CoinDesk. Now, Bitcoin is back over 34,000. So like I said, it appears to have recovered some. Dogecoin had dropped as low as 16 cents per coin at one point in the last 24 hours. Now back up trading at about 21 cents per coin. So, the fluctuations continue. Just kind of curious what inbred redneck might have to say about that. Meanwhile, plenty of room for you here. It's 844-844-3388. Steve, what's happening this morning?
Losing my cell signal about 5-6 times. I had to dial in. Got some bad reception down here in southern Illinois, but I think I'm good for right now, Steve.
So what's happening tonight?
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Hump day. Happy hump day.
Good. Happy hump day. Yes, sir. So, Steve, there was a lot of interesting stuff in the news today. First, you were talking about Minneapolis with the truckers.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on there? Did you see that one story about when you go into a restaurant now in Minneapolis? Some of these restaurants are putting on it's called a 15% diversity and inclusion tax.
Diversity and inclusion tax at restaurants? That's pretty bizarre. I don't think I caught that. Yeah, he's been having issues with his cell. He in and out. He's, like he said, I think he's called up 4 or 5 times. But for the moment, he's out of cell. I don't know. In Illinois, that's not the kind of place you'd expect to be having issues like that. Real quick, though, about 15 before the hour. Again, it's 844-844-3388. I mentioned all the other cryptos. Get back to that real quick. Let's see. Bitcoin dropped as much as 10% Tuesday, just above last year's closing price. Other cryptos were hit even harder. Let's see. A cryptocurrency known as Dash tumbled 22%. XRP down 21%. Litecoin down 18%. Among more volatile DeFi tokens, Prude was down 68%. Something called ManySwap tumbled 60%. Chart watchers said Bitcoin, which failed to retake that $40,000 threshold last week, may have a tough time finding the support in the 20,000 range following its drop below 30,000. It's been a remarkable drop down for digital assets, which just a few weeks ago were trekking higher. More and more people embracing, from Wall Street to retail investors. And so we're just going to have to pay close attention. But people, they tell you time and time again, if you don't put money in, Redneck has said this as well, do not put money into digital currency, money that you cannot afford to lose. Because there's a distinct possibility it could all just disappear. And like they say, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, get your morning cup of coffee, you pull up your screen, it's like, where did it go? It's all gone. Could happen, right? All right, someone last evening brought up, which at that point in time I had not heard, where they were looking to change the name of holidays. There was a school, a district, I guess, in New Jersey. Yeah, they didn't want to see the word Christmas or Easter and other holidays on the calendar. We're just going to put them day off on the calendar. All right, roughly 40 speakers stood up against the measure during a meeting. This is the Randolph Board of Education. The board had voted 8-1 to apparently reinstate the names. That same board earlier this month voted to replace all the holiday names with, like I said, the phrase day off. Parents began complaining about the change. They changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. One parent even launched a petition blasting the board for eliminating the holiday names without even getting any parental input. One father of three said, according to the Daily Wire, it's not about being the loudest to get your way. It's really about learning that this needs to be transparent and accountable. Yeah, we're living in this town. And that's the message we're giving to the board tonight. Consistently, as 40 different people spoke up, and in his case, he was concerned that the board would be eliminating holiday names like Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Apparently, he said they got the message. They reversed course on that decision. We appreciate that. There were thousands of signatures, more than 5,000 signatures in this small town. Truth be told, though, he says, they've lost the trust of our community, and I feel between a mixture of their arrogance and incompetence that they're really not the best people to proceed forward in helping to rebuild and help our community heal. I'm thinking, sounds about right. Now, was it really about eliminating the likes of Memorial Day and Veterans Day? I say it's more about eliminating the words like any religious holidays. All right, what are we looking at here? About 10 before the hour. I have not been to Vegas in a number of years. I can only imagine how things have changed on the Strip there. But apparently, I guess the first new mega casino on the Strip in more than 10 years opened this week. The $4.3 billion Resorts World. As Vegas springs back to light, mostly maskless tourists indulging in the famous casinos once again. A group called Malaysia's Genting Group developed a 3,500-room hotel, 117,000 square feet of gambling space, 250,000 square feet of meeting space, a 5,000-seat theater, where the likes of Celine Dion and Katy Perry will take up residence later this year, 7 swimming pools overlooking the north end of the Strip, It is one of the biggest resort projects ever on the famed Strip, similar in scope to the likes of the Bellagio or the Venetian, apparently. That's a big one. After the incredible shutdown last year, Vegas casinos have begun to reopen cautiously. Mask requirements, plexiglass barriers, limited offerings when it came to gambling. Now, that's when they started to reopen last year. Today, evidence of the health crisis is rapidly fading. Crowds of tourists are now packing the casinos, the pools, the shows, the restaurants. We're so lucky we're opening at this time, according to the Resort World's president. We were going to open one way or another, but we planned this a year and a half ago. We actually announced the date, but it's clearly getting better here in Las Vegas. They put out the numbers for the month of April, the most recent figures available. About 2.6 million people visited Las Vegas. It's about 73% of the pre-pandemic visits. You go back to April of 2019, they had 3.5 million visitors. So, the crowds are coming back. My sister and her husband were out there last week, as a matter of fact. Yes, when it was like 115 degrees all week long. Swelter. I haven't spoke to her, but I guarantee they were cooking out there on the Strip. All right, let's see. What's going on, Vic?
Oh, not a lot. I just, number one, you're talking about the guy on the cell phone having issues. Yeah, if you're in Southern Illinois on I-64, I can almost, I've forgotten the mile markers, but I can pretty well tell you where you're going to lose a cell signal. And if you're on I-57, basically, once you get about 40 miles south of Mount Vernon, Illinois, your cell phone is just pretty well go away. It's there in Shawnee National Forest. But what I heard you mention the Death Cross. In case you aren't familiar with that, that's when no matter what it is, falls below what's called the 200-day moving average. And they coined that term the Death Cross. And I don't really follow the cryptocurrency, but apparently Bitcoin has fallen below its 200-day moving average, if they said the Death Cross.
Okay.
And if they do the whole technical thing, three averages that they follow are the 50-day moving average price and the 100-day moving average price and the 200-day moving average price. And that causes all the computers to start kicking in. And you remember we discussed at some length years ago about these flash crashes where the computers just kind of take over and there's, I don't know what you want to say, if the markets go on autopilot or whatever. Whenever they kick in, I was trying to think, I think that happened to Procter & Gamble stock years ago, whenever they called it the flash crash, and there was an individual working at Procter & Gamble, as I recall at the time, that was involved in some insider trading or something. Do you remember that whole episode? I know you talked to a lot of people and they cover a lot of territory, but at that time, Stock Market Chris used to call you just about every night. I always look forward to his calls because he would get to quite some depth, on different issues going on. But anyway, the short story is that if you, and it's freely available on several websites anymore, that they follow the different moving averages, and you can look at the technical signals. It's far different from the old days whenever you had to sit there with a pen and a pencil and figure everything out. Now, when I look at that and I think about way back whenever I'd started as a broker, and I spend hours literally looking at paper charts and everything else, and now I just push a button and there's all that information right there. But I when you mentioned the Death Cross, I suspect that was it. But on the kind of a more, I guess, related to the trucking type issue, is that one of the things that they were covering today is the copper prices. And they were mentioning how that if we go to electrification on everything, that copper prices basically really have no way to go up because it's going to take a world of copper to electrify the whole world. And whenever I was looking at that, I was thinking about, the big war on plastic right now that they have. I don't know if the people realize that, but all that electrical stuff, your electric motors and all that, that wire, the copper wire that runs all that, is actually coated now with a type of plastic. Otherwise, you'd have a lot of stuff shorting out, in your windings and all that. So it just it never ceases to amaze me how these people get involved in some crusade or one thing or another, and they never ever really research exactly what all they're against. I mean, they just know they're against it, but they don't. You mentioned blockchain. Blockchain, that's the technology where you keep account of everything, every input that goes into a particular product. It doesn't make any difference where it is. And that's where the deal with the cryptocurrencies, they tried to transfer that particular type of technology to money. And there's no way you can get away from money, Stephen. That's why they were talking about the cryptocurrency. If it was a money unto itself, it wouldn't be related back to American dollars or any currency, but it's still related to their currency. So, a cryptocurrency by itself, if it was an ancient barter system, I guess it would work. But as long as they relate it to a currency, blockchain technology will never work with any of the cryptos. And I believe that's what that particular individual, the mathematician you mentioned, I think that's what he was trying to say. That cryptocurrency would not be valued in anything other than just itself. And I don't know how you can assess a value to something. I mean, if you trade, years ago, I'll give you an example, Steve. Years ago, I had an animal science professor. They were talking about these high dollar purebred animals that were selling. And he said, well, supposedly they're worth like $60,000, but a good purebred bull is worth $60,000 because somebody traded two $30,000 heifers for it, and no money was really changing hands for a lot of that. And he was just mentioning that's kind of what went on in that world. Now, that's not an exact match, but because people did pay, for a really good sow or bull or horse or anything else, people do pay high dollars for it, but he was just mentioning how sometimes prices would get inflated for certain animals. So you had to research their pedigree and see what it was really worth.
Well, don't they typically say the value of anything would be kind of like based on what someone's willing to pay for it? Like when you're talking about these, baseball cards or whatever, sports cards. Yeah. Cards worth $50,000 if someone's willing to pay $50,000 for it, right? If nobody wants to pay that for it, it ain't worth nothing. Hey, hang in there. We're going to get a news update, reach the top of the hour here. And yes, the term death cross was being used, the technical data on Bitcoin yesterday. It formed a death cross. Right now, though, rolling into a Wednesday hump day. Lines available at 844-844-3388. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
The international community continues to look for ways to push China to fully cooperate with an investigation into the origins of COVID-19. Senator Lindsey Graham believes that the U.S. needs a place to lay out the evidence that the virus leaked from a Chinese lab. The South Carolina Republican tells Fox News that Congress should allow Americans to sue China over COVID.
We need to allow the American people to go to an American court and sue the Chinese Communist Party for ruining their lives and their businesses by waiving sovereign immunity like we did after 9/11 for Saudi Arabia. So I'm going to challenge my Democratic colleagues to open the American court system up so we can get to the bottom of what happened in China. The best way to get to the truth is to have a trial over where it came from and how it got to America. And I'm convinced this came from a lab leak. I don't think it was an intentional, but it didn't come from nature.
This is USA Radio News.
My feet hurt. So when Mike Lindell told me about his new My Slipper, I just had to try it. It's more than a bedroom slipper. It's an indoor-outdoor slipper with a 3-tier cushioning system that combines 2 layers of foam with a patented impact gel to keep you from wanting to ever take them off. I love them. They're comfortable, beautifully finished with leather suede, faux fur linings, and an indoor-outdoor sole. And Mike guarantees this will be the most comfortable slipper you'll ever own, or you'll get your money back. 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year warranty, and you can save 40% when you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175. Mention USA Radio when you get to give them the promo code USA, and they will take good care of you. Save 60% on just about anything on the MyPillow website when you use my promo code USA. MyPillow.com, my slippers.
As negotiations over infrastructure continue, the debate over what belongs in an infrastructure bill also rages on. Tim Berg reports.
As President Biden continues to meet with Democrats and Republicans regarding ongoing negotiations regarding a bipartisan infrastructure package, Republican Congressman from Pennsylvania, Scott Perry, tells Fox Business,
we're going to be printing this money, we're going to be taxing this money, and we're going to be spending it on things like child care and other assisted care, which is all important stuff, but it's not infrastructure.
From the USA Radio News Phoenix Bureau, I'm Tim Berg.
And a federal moratorium on evictions is expected to be extended by 1 more month. CNBC reporting that an announcement that the moratorium will be extended to the end of July could come as soon as Wednesday. The moratorium on residential evictions was set to expire on June 30th. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Look, bud, I said your money or your life. I'm thinking it over.
The Great Gildersleeve.
The new Edgar Bergenauer with Charlie McCarthy.
Now, if you help me, I'll mow you down.
3 hours a day, 7 days a week of the greatest radio shows of all time. Classic radio theater. Available on many of these radio stations or available on demand anytime at any podcast app by searching USA Classic Radio Theater. USA Classic Radio Theater.
A sweeping elections reform bill pushed by congressional Democrats had been blocked by Senate Republicans. In a Tuesday vote, the For the People Act was blocked from being brought to the floor for a debate by a 50-50 tally. 60 votes were needed to advance the proposal. The bill would have been the largest overhaul of the electoral system in decades, a measure Democrats say is needed as states have been passing their own election reform bills in the wake of last November's election. Senator Tina Smith says the fight over these measures is not over. The Minnesota Democrat tells ABC News that she wished Republicans would have taken up debate on what she called common sense measures.
No, I don't think it's effectively dead. I think we have to keep on pushing. This is too important for us just to say, oh, well, so sad, too bad. We weren't able to take the steps that we need to take to protect our elections. So the path forward is hard. It is incredible to me that not a single Republican member of the Senate would sign on to these common sense provisions. They wouldn't even say, let's debate what we ought to do to make sure that every citizen in this country has a free and free access to the vote. That is really, really disappointing to me. But frankly, I think it makes me and many others just feel like we have to buckle up and fight even harder to get this done.
And the Detroit Pistons have won the #1 overall pick in the NBA's draft lottery. The Houston Rockets will pick second, Cleveland Cavaliers third, the Toronto Raptors fourth, and the Orlando Magic fifth. The 2021 NBA Draft will be held on July 29th. For USA Radio News, I'm Dan Naraki.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
ultra-low sulfur fuels.
the primary function of diesel fuel is combustibility. One of the little-known aspects of fuel is its role as a lubricant to metal-on-metal moving parts. The introduction of ultra-low sulfur fuels diminishes the fuel's ability to lubricate because sulfur, which has been mostly removed, has lubricating properties. Hot Shot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment with LX4 delivers unmatched lubricity. Third-party testing confirms that it takes 3 times the amount of leading fuel treatment to match the lubrication benefit of 1 dose of Hot Shot Secret. Everyday Diesel Treatment is a fully formulated 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Keep the bugs off your glass and the smokies off your ass. This is the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
All right, back at it here. Another hour off and rolling as we make our way time zone to time zone into a Wednesday. We're crossing over into the 23rd day of June. And good to have you with us. Yeah, before we get back and we'll finish up with Vic here. Looking, I thought I still had the story. Indeed, I did. Going back to mentioned the pipeline investigation where, they said the FBI was able to recover 2.3 of the $4.3 million that was paid for the ransom. They traced, but they were able to recover 63.7 of the 75 Bitcoins. The first seizure of a paid ransom by the Justice Department's new ransomware and digital extortion task force. Given the task to go after the so-called ransomware as a service industry. So how were you able to track it when they're using the so-called blockchain technology? That's the that was the purpose of the hackers, the ransomware hackers of requiring to be paid in cryptocurrency. Nobody was supposed to be able to trace them. Investigators were able to track the ransom through at least 23 different electronic accounts belonging to this criminal cyber group known as DarkSide. Bitcoin can be created, moved, and stored outside the purview of any government or financial institution. However, each payment is recorded in a permanent fixed ledger. That's the blockchain. All transactions can be viewed in the ledger by anyone who's plugged into the blockchain. It's kind of like digital breadcrumbs, they explain. There's a trial law enforcement. It's a trail you can follow pretty nicely. But this was kind of groundbreaking because the hackers used cryptocurrency. Experts say law enforcement first needed to determine how to connect the criminal to the digital wallet that stores the Bitcoin. Those experts noted authorities likely had to focus on what was known as the public key and a private key. A public key is the string of numbers and letters that Bitcoin holders have for transacting with others. A private key is used to keep a wallet secure. We have no idea how the feds were able to get DarkSide's private key. The public is slowly being shown in case after case. Bitcoin is good for law enforcement and bad for crime. Yeah, the exact opposite of what historically everyone believed. So there you go. I'll get back. Thanks for hanging in there, Vic.
Yep.
All right, we'll give you a chance to.
Steve?
Yeah, we're back. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Your system, I'm kind of getting a little better at it. That's the new world anymore anyway. It's a virtual world kind of where you're not sure if you're talking to a real person or whatever. But yeah, that I don't even pretend to understand what's going on in that whole cryptocurrency thing, other than the fact that when I tried to read up on it, I found out that some people at MIT were actually studying blockchain for supply distribution and everything. And somewhere along the way, guy says, "Hey, we could do this with financial transaction," and that's where it all got started with the mathematicians and all that. But it looks to me like, just looking at it from afar, that apparently whenever these people get ransom, that they know what account it has to go into, the digital wallet or whatever, and they just basically look to see who's taking what out, and sooner or later, I guess a pattern emerges because I'm definitely no techno whiz by any stretch of the imagination. So the bottom line is that criminals thought they had a secure thing, and now they find out that really isn't a secure thing, and that takes a certain level of value away from it, because people, it's like, well, really, I thought my transactions were hidden and they're actually in full view. So, but kind of switching from that a little bit, when I was listening to your newscast there, and they defeated that program today about the voters' rights, or I don't know what they call it, but the thing that has struck me odd about all of that is that the 1965 Voting Rights Act and its later amendments pretty well guarantees that anyone who feels like they've been cheated out of a vote, they have the right to have the federal government get involved. So I really don't even know what the reason was for trying to pass that bill. I mean, when I say I know the reason why they tried to get it passed, but I don't know how they were even able to justify bringing that up when there are laws on the books that make sure that if you feel like you've been cheated out of the right to vote, you can go to any U.S. attorney's office and have the whole matter taken up. So whoever that was talking, was that Elian Omar or whatever? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just heard him say something about Minnesota, and it's like, you probably years ago you probably heard me talk about my nephew that was a C-141 pilot, and he was over there whenever they were flying people out of Somalia and those refugees. And I often think back to, I just wonder if she was one of those that he flew out of Somalia there, but they brought him to the United States. And she is no more appreciative of that than anything. She seems to be somewhat resentful. And I don't know how much you've discussed that person that wanted to change the flag. And, they were talking about how that flag is dated. Well, that flag, that was the flag that freed a lot of slaves in the Civil War. That was also the flag that kept the Nazis from taking over, and they weren't too kindly to anybody but the white Aryan race. And that flag has freed an awful lot of people. And all those planes that were flying out of Somalia for those refugees had that flag on the tail of it. So when they run around criticizing the flag, they might want to think a little bit harder about it. And I talk about the Civil War because I was a bit of a Civil War buff. And there was a controversy over which was the last battle fought in the Civil War, because one was led by a Confederate general that was the Cherokee, because the Cherokee Nation was part of the Confederacy. And then there's another battle you'll find out in Texas, was the Battle of Palmetto Hill. Well, Palmetto Hill was actually fought after the war had ended, and it was with the 34th Indiana Regiment It was an all-black unit led by a white officer, and they attacked a Confederate unit there at Palmetto Hill in Texas, and which they really don't like to talk about it because once the war and hostilities had ended, and both commanders had been communicated that the hostilities had ended, and they attacked the Confederate camp, and basically they got defeated. So whenever they talk about all this different stuff going on in history, again, quite often, it fits the current situation. It doesn't fit what really happened. So when they talk about wanting to change the flag or take down a statue and everything else, you're destroying history. And if you don't study history with all of its warts and everything else, you'll never get anything right. And then that's how we wind up with people trying to pass bills like that voting rights bill. I forgot what Nancy Pelosi called it, but anyway, it had some sort of a title that was actually the reverse of what it was.
Yeah, it's like the We the People Act or something. It's exactly. Yeah, and then, history tends to repeat itself. All right, Vic, thank you so much for your insight, your input. He's kind of like a walking encyclopedia, so especially on certain topics. Got an email from Spaceman, and he said you were talking about something being worth what someone's willing to pay for it. He said, well, speaking of that, I gave my son a couple of Rubbermaid containers of. It had Harley shirts, concert shirts, some popular biker bar shirts with dates on them from like the 90s bike weeks. He put on eBay tonight, 1997 Jeff Gordon Jurassic Park shirt. It's up to $215 bid. He actually got two offers to buy it now. One offer was for $400, one was for $375. That's insane. The same shirt has sold on eBay already for $500. So yeah. Jeff Gordon Jurassic Park t-shirt. Somebody willing to pay $500 for it. Let's go on with Chevy Guy. Hey there.
No, it should not be a Chevrolet occupant. Oh, Lord. Put that window up. No, interesting what Vic was saying. I just left the house about 11 o'clock. There was on PBS, Professor Gates was doing the history on three people. One of them was Brian Gumble. Come to find out, Brian Gumble, his ancestor, black, owned slaves, had a plantation, and had a lot of slaves. And of course, Brian Gumble, he goes, well, that was probably to save friends and family. And Professor Gates said, no, it's just a lot of that was the fact that if you had the plantation, you needed the manpower. So not all of them was just trying to save kindred, but that was interesting. Now the reason why I called was sort of set back on that story about where the parents stood up to the school board and they were trying to take away religious holidays. That needs to be. The education needs to be there. Your inalienable rights. And when everybody says, "I've got my rights, got the constitutional rights," they come from it's inalienable rights from the Creator. This separation of church and state is totally a myth. It says in the Bill of Rights, it says that the government shall not establish a religion. It's saying it has anything about it tells the government, do not. And you hear that all the time, but the very next line, the government shall not inhibit the practice thereof. So it's just like this. I've seen this on Facebook. Now that they're flying the rainbow flag on courthouses and on government buildings, then shouldn't we be allowed to set the crosses back up? So I just find it odd that this is not being taught to the people. I mean, I get it if you're a total atheist, but let's put it this way. If you're a total atheist, I got news for you. Your freedoms, your established freedoms, what you can stand on in this country to keep the government away from you, well, you may think it's a make-believe or it's a myth, but that myth is that much even more fragile to you because it's your inalienable rights. And it's just amazing to me to see what they're doing. If they erase faith from our culture, they erase it, and then all of a sudden somebody's up there is going to say, well, it's our inalienable rights. And somebody's going to ask, well, inalienable rights from who? And then they're going to say from the Creator. Said, well, we don't believe in God, and we don't promote it, and you can't establish it. Well, all of a sudden, those rights are not from God or from the Creator. Those rights come from your government, or maybe not. It's some government official that's going to decide whether or not you have your rights. Yeah, it's going back to trying to tear down everything that we have. It's tearing down America from the heart. And you think you have gun rights? No. That comes from your inalienable rights. Freedom of speech? No. That's your inalienable rights. And it just broke my heart to hear that I'm glad that they turned the school board around, and they're not going to do that. Take away Christmas, Easter, all this stuff. But it just was a great time for somebody to get up and then express that our whole system of freedom has prospered because it was established with that your rights are given to you by your inalienable rights are come from the Creator. And oddly enough, when everybody wants to say it's church and state issue, after these people voted for independence and the Constitution, they called in a chaplain to pray over it, that God would bless this endeavor. And I don't think any country on this planet has ever been established in prayer that it has in the United States, and it's been blessed. But I'm going to push it here. I'm going to say in 2012, this country accepted gay marriage, and under Obama, and you've seen how bad we got and how bad we were gotten. We've seen Trump step in there and try to uphold some good, good work ethics. America first, take care of your family. Hey, America can be a blessing to the world if we're strong. If we're all in debt and we're all weak, we can't help nobody out there. So, but now we're just seeing, in just a matter of months, we're seeing what Donald Trump was doing, and we're seeing what he's doing, Biden's doing to this country. But God save America. And any atheists out there, buddy, you might just want to you might want to start praying, because your right to speak out against things about the government, that comes from that comes your inalienable rights from the Creator.
Yeah.
Because you don't talk about the Queen of England. If you're in England, you don't talk about her. You got to watch what you say if you get online, because they can come and charge you with hate speech and inciting.
Well, hell, head over to China. Head over to China and say something negative about President Xi and the Chinese Communist Party. See how fast your ass ends up either dead or in a prison in total darkness, infested with rats, till you die. All right, Chevy Guy, rolling toward bottom of the hour news break time here. Let's see a few more of our friends checking in here. Let's see, Fred checking in. Morning, Steve. Morning, drivers. Listening from home here in Louisiana this morning. Be careful on the road, guys. So far, not raining here for once. It's a pleasant 73 degrees. Great show, Steve. Hello, Overnight Drive Nation. It's Rambler out here headed to Collins, Mississippi, I believe it is. I heard my dad, Dirty Diapers, called in. We both love the show. Keep up the great work, Steve. I'll call in later. All right, we'll look forward to that. Rambler, yeah, it was good to hear from your dad. Morning, y'all. On the Sommers train, it's a great ride every night. Country Bumpkin checking in northbound Hammer Down. Let's see. Kenneth says, I saw where they're trying to put gay pride and BLM flags in classrooms and have the kids say a pledge to them every morning. Yeah, I see where Sesame Street has crossed over. Yeah, what was that? They introduced the first, Sesame Street introduced the first couple, two guys married on the program this past week. Times are changing, right? Then we hear from Steven. I'm assuming Steven is the beaver squeezer. He said, I'm done being hung up on by Steve Sommers. I know what I'm talking about. Trucking's what I do for a living. I can live stream other shows. F this. I've got other things to do with my time. Yeah, beaver squeezer, you know what? We try our best to be kind and considerate to you. On more than one occasion, Steve, you crossed the line. I have to be so cautious. The longer I let you go, the more likely you're going to start throwing out things. Last time I had you on, you threw out the F-bomb. Steve, I know you enjoy it. I enjoy my Miller Lite. I know you enjoy your Coors Light. Yeah, just maybe call in when you haven't had so many of them. If you know what I mean. I'm just telling you, being honest. It's not that I want to hang up on you. I just have to be careful. All right. Hello, neighbor Dave. Headed to Chicago. I know that's your favorite run. And, I have a good time there. So we'll get our news break in here. And we'll come back with more of your calls. Want to jump on board? It's 844-3388. Got a Wednesday coming on, a nice, comfortable night. Yeah, it's almost a little chilly. I mean, well, if it was 32 degrees in the middle of winter, I'd be saying it doesn't feel too bad out. It's 32. Pretty nice. It's 58 outside the Hot Shot Secret Bunker. But compared to those 73-degree nights we got used to over the weekend, and a little cool out there. All right, we'll return in just a moment. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
Health officials are emphasizing the importance of getting vaccinated against COVID, as the Delta variant of the virus is now being detected in 20% of tests being sequenced. The strain first identified in India spreads more rapidly than the original virus and is becoming the dominant strain worldwide. Top White House medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says that areas with low vaccination rates could see local surges of infections because of the new variant.
There will be local type of regional spikes and outbreaks. I don't foresee what we refer to as a surge as we have known it, namely the three major surges that we've experienced over the past year and a half. I don't think even under those circumstances that you're going to see things like 1,000 deaths a day. I think that is a bit much, but there is a danger, a real danger.
This is USA Radio News.
Got an old car? You can donate it, whether it's running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation and save a life. They'll even come and pick it up for free. The United Breast Cancer Foundation has saved hundreds of women's lives through their free or low-cost breast screen exams. But now they need your help. The United Breast Cancer Foundation wants to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car, SUV, or truck, whether it's running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Help the United Breast Cancer Foundation save lives by donating your old car, SUV, or truck. Call now for free pickup. 800-280-2144. 800-280-2144. 800-280-2144. Call right now. That number again is 800-280-2144.
You're listening to the Overnight Drive with Steve Summers.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel particulate filter regeneration.
the DPF catches particulates left over from combustion. The DPF regeneration cycle cleans the filter with temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. A computer sensor triggers the DPF regen, which is often accompanied by a loss of power and fuel economy. The frequency of DPF regens are in correlation to the cleanliness of the fuel burn. Under heavy operation with the dirty burn, DPF regens can occur multiple times per day. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme Fuel Additive promotes a more complete combustion, creating fewer emissions and therefore fewer DPF regens. Vehicles using Diesel Extreme experience 83% less DPF regens.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Do you have a Dodge pickup and hate your automatic transmission? Of course you do. Levon Miller at Firepunk Diesel here, and we specialize in heavy-duty and performance transmissions for your 3/4 or 1-ton Cummins-powered truck. So if you're interested in turning your stock slush box into a towing monster, call us today at 614-733-3744 or visit us online at shop.firepunk.com.
You work hard. You deserve a seat that works just as hard as you do. The Bostrom T-Series seat has provided drivers with comfort for millions of miles over the past 3 decades. Each seat is built right here in the USA and has 4-position front cushion tilt and higher low-profile air suspension with Isolate. It's also equipped with many standard and optional comfort features such as high and mid backrests, 9.4-inch 4-aft slide adjustment, adjustable armrests, and manual or dual air lumbar support systems to keep you comfortable throughout your ride. Build your T-Series seat today at BostromSeating.com and ensure your ultimate comfort for wherever the road takes you. Bostrom Seating, the ultimate comfort for the open road.
PureFlow AirDog, your leader in fuel air separation system technology. Our systems filter out water, particulates down to 2 micron, and remove all of the air out of your diesel fuel. This allows for nothing but pure, clean diesel fuel to reach the expensive injection system equipped in your vehicle. Not only do our fuel systems protect, they also come in a variety of flow rates to meet your performance needs. Our systems are compact and use OEM-style fittings for an easy installation. Learn more about our product at www.pureflowairdog.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Protect your investment with PureFlow AirDog.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor, here with Tax Help MD. As many of you know from Steve Summers' show, I've been helping professional drivers solve their tax problems. I can help you too. If you've been struggling with back tax debt, call me now at 888-557-4020. Let's face it, these problems aren't going away all on their own. You need professional help so you can sleep better at night knowing you're in good hands. It's like I always say, keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep my eyes on the IRS. 888-557-4020.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme.
Today's ultra-low sulfur fuels are cleaner, but they leave injector deposits, causing frequent DPF regens and low throttle response. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is a 6-in-1 fuel additive recommended for all diesel engines. It is formulated with the most concentrated detergent on the market, a top-tier level cetane booster, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer. Diesel Extreme is a once every 6-month treatment that will clean your entire fuel system, starting at the fuel tank and traveling throughout the fuel lines and fuel pump, and finally completely cleaning your injectors. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme improves your diesel's fuel economy and eliminates excessive black smoke.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and Auto Stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Keep the bugs off your glass and the smokies off your This is the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
All right, we'll get back to the calls here in just a moment. Let me throw a couple of updates your way. Several people have called this program over the recent months. Yeah, see these different scenarios on social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, social media. They banter things around about, what if this would happen and what if that could happen? And one of those was, how about, Donald Trump runs for a House seat, and then he gets to be Speaker of the House, kind of thing. You've heard that scenario, right? And even Donald Trump acknowledged that. And Jason Miller this past day kind of addressed it. He said, the former president does not want to be Speaker of the House, despite even having raised the idea. Jason Miller was a longtime aide, former spokesman to Trump. He said he has zero desire to be Speaker. Let's see. Trump said earlier this month the idea of being Speaker without running for Congress was rather interesting. He later said, it's very interesting. He was being interviewed by Wayne Allen Root, no less, and said some of his supporters believe he should run for the Senate. Now, during the interview, he said more people want him to be the Speaker. I've heard the talk, and we're hearing more and more of it all the time. There's a lot of talk about it. I have a good relationship with Kevin, House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy. But the election was a horrible, horrible thing for our country. All right, even though, it's interesting, even though the Speaker has always been a member of the House, and I did not realize, Trump actually does not have to be a member of the House to become Speaker of the House. Did you know that? According to the American conservative movement, the Constitution does not require that a person be a member of the lower chamber to be the Speaker. And with a Republican majority in the House, the members could actually vote to make Trump, now a private citizen, the Speaker of the House. Trump said during his interview with Wayne Allen Root that he would consider running for a House seat in 2022 in a bid to become Speaker of the House. That would allow him to launch an impeachment investigation against Joe Biden. But again, so I guess Miller's kind of just pointing out the fact that he does not want to be Speaker of the House, really. And also former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said that Ron actually won a straw poll by a few points even over Donald Trump to be the Republican presidential nominee for 2024. And if Donald Trump runs again for 2024, DeSantis is not going to run. He's not going to seek a nomination against him, if that makes sense. He would not run against Donald Trump in 24. So right now, I guess it's kind of an up-in-the-air thing. Trump hasn't definitively said he's going to even run. He's focused on helping take back the House, maybe the Senate, in 2022 with individuals that he believes are true conservatives that have America first on their agenda. As I mentioned, DeSantis was ahead of Trump in the Western Conservative Summit's presidential straw poll. Meadows spoke to the Washington Examiner just before the poll's release and said he thinks DeSantis is really focused on winning re-election as Florida's governor. He's made it pretty clear, very clear, he's running for re-election as governor of Florida. Now, he doesn't shy away from being very bold in terms of the initiatives that he's been putting forth. His re-elect for governor is a platform to show that the policies and the boldness and, quite frankly, the courage he shows. He is a very popular governor in Florida. He appeals to conservative voters. Yes, he has a solid relationship with Trump while Trump was president, but he's really focused on Florida. Governor DeSantis won't even, he's asked over and over and over, and every time I'm in his presence, he's been asked, are you running for 2024? His answer has always been the same. He's looking for re-election for governor of the state that not only he loves, but one that is, quite frankly, well run because of his leadership. So it sounds like don't anticipate having some sort of when they have the Republican convention kind of thing and they have the whole primaries, when they roll around, don't look for DeSantis to be up against Trump in primary elections, I guess we should say. All right, speaking of which, Governor DeSantis, your beloved governor, everybody down there seems to like that guy, don't they?
Absolutely. Steve, how you doing, man?
Doing well. What's happening, Philip?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Ron DeSantis, he's a Floridian, and he'll tell you that, and that's what he is, and he's dedicated to the state. I back him a lot. I think a lot of Ron DeSantis. Now, has he made wrong moves sometimes? Yes, he has, but he's admitted when he has and carried on and tried to correct things. I mean, he's a good governor. He's probably one of the best governors we've had in the last probably 40 years. But I think I told you yesterday, if he runs for governor, he's going to be running against the lady that sits to his left, Nikki Fried. So it's going to be kind of tough with him on that one, Steve. Steve, do you know anything about this thing that they're trying to push through about the government? Is the government going to control watching the voting and stuff during elections? Is that what that new legislation is that they're trying to put through right now?
Well, yeah, the H.R. 1, which passed in the House, it's Senate Bill 1, which, it was 50-50 vote yesterday. Interesting how, what's his name, that said he was going to vote against it, actually at the last minute decided to side with the rest of the Democrats, so it's 50-50. Only way they're going to be able to get it through now would be to eliminate the filibuster. But yeah, that's Senate Bill 1, looking to totally take federal control of the elections. It would eliminate any state's ability to set their own rules and regulations as far as voting.
Oh, wow. That's a big one there. That's a real big one. That one there is a hard one to take. That one's a hard one to take. I know you were talking the other day about, I think this was part of too with the turnover rate in trucking and whatnot. But you were talking about the that shippers were the shippers don't have the things set up the right way where drivers can sit and wait. They have to detention time, whatnot. Can you imagine if the trucking industry was run like the airlines, where a truck had to be on the road at a certain time and had to meet a certain schedule? Can you imagine what that would be like?
Yeah. No way.
No way. Absolutely. There's no way. There's too many. There's more trucks out there than there are airplanes flying right now. And it would be crazy if somebody got in an accident, because in the airlines, if you delay an airplane, the government charges you a fine per minute that the airplane is delayed on its flight. So if a truck was delayed by a shipper or by an accident, the only thing they would probably get away with would be weather. Even if it's a mechanical on an airplane and you're delayed, they charge you $1,000 a minute. And then if you can't make that, then you have to cancel the flight plan, and then it turns into another situation. So if the trucking industry was run like that, it'd be a lot of changes. I was thinking about that the other day because I worked with the airlines years ago, and if we held an airplane up, it was $1,000 a minute on the delay, and then after that delay went so much and the flight got canceled, then it went into another deal. But yeah, if the trucking industry was handled that way, I think that shippers and a lot of things would change, and you'd see a lot of things change, but I don't think it'd be for the good in some senses.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have a rocket today, I hear. So we're going to have a Falcon 9 going off today.
Got another.
I hope it makes it.
Another batch of Starlink. Is that what we got?
No, I don't. Wait a second. Is it today? Let me look at my app here. It's actually Friday. Friday's going to be the launch. Actually, I think it's a joint one with the Starlink and another ride-along. So he's going to make money on one end and put his Starlinks up in the other and get everything going. So we had some pretty good storms yesterday out through here. I don't know how it's going to be today. I think they're supposed to be a little earlier than they were yesterday, but we had some pretty good ones move across yesterday afternoon out here. So how was it in Cincinnati?
We're pretty much quiet for the time being. That was cool. It was like only 72 for the high yesterday. I think we go back to 76 today. Then we start warming up back into the 80s before that next cold front comes through.
Yeah, I know the humidity level down here has risen a lot. We hadn't had rain in a long time, and then all of a sudden we're getting all this rain, and then before it comes, we're getting major amounts of humidity as far as the humidity levels going up. So, I mean, it's been balmy down here. It's like it's almost laying on top of you. I know there's another storm they're looking at down around, it's probably around Venezuela, down in that area. I know they had put out about 30% on that one. So we'll have to see how that one plays out, see if it goes up through by the Bay of Campeche and all that, comes out the Gulf. But I don't think there's anything else out there looking as far as that goes. So, but hey, Bud, have you heard anything from Eagle? I haven't heard Eagle in a while. Is he doing all right?
Yeah, I think he did check in Monday morning this week, but haven't heard from him since.
Yeah, I talked to Moose yesterday. He's doing pretty good. He's trying to get things together at home, and he's driving himself crazy. He needs to get back out there going, but he can't get up there yet physically. But he seemed pretty good yesterday when I talked to him. So, well, Bud, that's all I got. You have a good one, man. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you there. Good to hear from you. Philip, have a great day in Florida. Yeah, so what was the headline from Town Hall? It's over. Senate Republicans torpedoed the For the People Act, which was essentially the federal takeover of elections. 50 affirmative votes right along party lines, no Republican support. Democrats were unable to overcome the Republican filibuster to move forward with the legislation. Again, they had to have 60 votes on that. See, it was, couldn't remember his name. It was Joe Manchin. Manchin's the one that for weeks and weeks has been saying he's not going to support the For the People Act. Yeah, all I can figure is just realizing that if it's a 50-50 vote on this particular scenario, that his vote would not make the difference, up or down. It was going to go down anyway, so I guess so he could toe the party line and not anger Chuck Schumer or whatever. At the last minute, he did vote with the rest of the Democrats, with the realization that the only way they would now be able to proceed to try to move this forward would be to eliminate the filibuster. And that's the one that he pretty much definitively said he would not support. Not only him, but you had Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who had pretty much doubled down on her defense of the filibuster. In a Washington Post op-ed to which she said it's important to stop repeated radical reversals of federal law. So now you've got Sinema and Joe Manchin, the two most vocal Democrats, claiming that defending the 60-vote threshold for legislation, attracting the ire of more and more liberals. Sinema took a page from Manchin's playbook this week, laying out her case for the controversial minority protection. She says, quote, to those who want to eliminate the legislative filibuster so we can pass the For the People Act, the voter rights legislation that I support and actually co-sponsored, I would ask you, would it be good for our country if we did? Only to see that legislation rescinded a few years from now and replaced by a nationwide voter ID law or restrictions on voting by mail in federal elections over the objections of the minority. This question is less about the immediate result from any of these Democratic or Republican goals. It is the likelihood of repeated radical reversals in federal policy that would cement uncertainty, deepen the divisions, and further erode Americans' confidence in the government. She's thinking logically, essentially. The majority of the Democrats in the Senate signed a 2017 letter by Susan Collins of Maine and Chris Coons of Delaware, asking Senate leaders to preserve the filibuster during the Trump presidency. See, in other words, when the Democrats did not have full control, they did not want the Republicans to eliminate the filibuster. As the 2020 election approached, and especially since Biden was sworn in, many Democrats now renounce or at least distance themselves from that stance, including Coons. Now, Manchin and Sinema are the only two staunch filibuster defenders among the Democrats in the Senate. There's a few other moderates who they say quietly support them, but they don't come right out and say it. In her op-ed piece, she said, Democrats often used the filibuster to stop Republican-supported legislation during Trump's tenure. Republicans controlled the Senate. Now you're in the majority, and it's tempting to believe you're going to stay in the majority. But a Democratic Senate minority used the 60-vote threshold just last year to filibuster a police reform proposal and a COVID relief bill that many Democrats felt was inadequate. All right, so, yeah, they used it. They used it on more than one occasion, numerous occasions under the Trump administration. And I think she rightfully understands, hell, the Republicans could take back control of the Senate here in a couple of years, 2022, next year. And you see, if they eliminate the filibuster now, Republicans take control of the Senate, boom. Now, granted, president is still at that point going to be Biden or maybe Kamala Harris by that point in time, which would probably veto pretty much anything that the Senate Republicans at that point would try to present. But then 2024 rolls around. And what if Republicans take back the presidency? Then it's a whole new ballgame. And the Democrats would then all be crying foul. Yes, that's the world we live in. All right, what's going on with Heat Wave this morning? How you been?
Oh, good morning, senor. Oh, doing all right out here on the West Coast, enjoying this Washington highway on Monday. Nice and cool up here in the mountains, 62 degrees. Hey, I'm going to ask you something. You had issues with, what was that insurance that you had issues with for your appliances? Was it First American Warranty?
I think it was American Home Shield, I believe it was.
Oh, American Home Shield. Okay. Well, I've got issues with my AC this year. And I tell you what, I am not real happy with the way that they've got their system set up. I mean, I'm sure they're a multi-million, billion-dollar corporation, but you would think that they would have made enough money to make that AI that answers the phone understand the first name of a person that it's asking for. And of course, when it doesn't understand and it repeatedly tells you, I don't understand, you ask for customer service, and it just turns around and says, well, we're so close, just give me your first name. It's like, man, what is it with people today that do not want to talk to other people, yet they want to do business with people? You know, in your case, I understand. You know, you have your machine there, and you're the only one that's actually doing the producing, the call screening, and you know, and talking to everybody. I can understand that. But to have these big conglomerates pull that crap, it just really ticks me off to no end. So I'm seriously considering, after I get my AC fixed or replaced, to drop them and try to find somebody else that I can actually work with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one rant. Another one, we have a group, a business called Calibers in Albuquerque. And they were advertising the fact via email that, yes, we have ammunition. I'm like, great. Then I go down the list, and it says they support the alphabet letter people out there, and I'm thinking, why? You know, and so I emailed them, and I said, you know, this shouldn't be on the table. What you ought to be worried about is our Second Amendment rights to bear arms. And they says, well, we have people of that persuasion working for us, and even though they're not, you know, just, I guess flagrant would be the word, you know, we do have people working for us. And I said, you know, whatever happened to the Christian Judeo ideas and beliefs? I said, are you going to start denouncing that in support of them? And they says, well, we're Christians and this is what we believe. And I said, no, you can't. You can't be Christian and believe in that kind of behavior. You can't be a Christian and you can't be supportive of abortion. I said, you know, for this PC crap that y'all are pulling here, I said, you have lost a customer. I will find my guns and ammo at another place. You know, had they not had that listed, I wouldn't have cared. But when you go out of your way to say, well, we're doing this because this is what we believe in, I'm sorry, that runs contrary to a lot of other people out here, their ideas and beliefs. So I just not real happy with that situation at all. Oh, well, okay. So did you receive the text and a photo I sent?
I was going to ask you about, you know, do I need another Cadillac? I still have my Cadillac. I'm just waiting to get the radiator replaced. I got the radiator in, and it's actually in the back of the car. But apparently there must be more work entailed in taking the old radiator out than meets the eye, and I'm not sure because I called one shop and they wanted like $400 to put it in. I mean, just the labor. Ooh. I called another one. They wanted $360 just to install the radiator that I've got. So I said, that's all got to be based on man hours. I said, I thought it was like two radiator hose and two transmission line hoses. Is, you know, slide the old one out, slide the new one in. There's some clamps up top. But I might be missing something. I'm not sure. But hold that thought, Heatwave. He sends me a picture of looks like an old red, might even be a convertible Cadillac. I don't know what year that was, but all right, we got to get our news break, though. Top of the hour, crossing over the midnight hour on the West Coast. Lines available at 844-844-3388. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Dan Naraki.
Health officials are emphasizing the importance of getting vaccinated against COVID, as the Delta variant of the virus is now being detected in 20% of tests being sequenced. The strain, first identified in India, spreads more rapidly than the original virus and is becoming the dominant strain worldwide. Top White House medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says that areas with low vaccination rates could see local surges of infections because of the new variant.
There will be local type of regional spikes and outbreaks. I don't foresee what we refer to as a surge as we have known it, namely the three major surges that we've experienced over the past year and a half. I don't think even under those circumstances that you're going to see things like 1,000 deaths a day. I think that is a bit much, but there is a danger, a real danger.
This is USA Radio News.
My feet hurt. So when Mike Lindell told me about his new My Slipper, I just had to try it. It's more than a bedroom slipper. It's an indoor-outdoor slipper with a 3-tier cushioning system that combines 2 layers of foam with a patented impact gel to keep you from wanting to ever take them off. I love them. They're comfortable, beautifully finished with leather suede, faux fur linings, and an indoor-outdoor sole. And Mike guarantees this will be the most comfortable slipper you'll ever own, or you'll get your money back. 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year warranty, and you can save 40% when you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175. Mention USA Radio when you get to give them the promo code USA, and they will take good care of you. Save 60% on just about anything on the MyPillow website when you use my promo code USA. MyPillow.com, my slippers.
A new poll shows that more Americans support an expansion of early voting, as well as more stringent voter ID requirements. Tim Berg has more from the USA Radio News Phoenix Bureau.
A new poll shows the majority of Americans support the ability to vote early, but also stricter ID laws. The Monmouth University poll shows more than 70% of people support making it easier for people to vote ahead of Election Day. That number jumps to 80% when it comes to people that support requiring a form of ID before a person can vote. Less than 20% thought early voting should be restricted and there should be no additional ID mandates. It comes as states are passing election reform laws after last November's election, and as Senate Republicans have blocked the Democrats' sweeping election and ethics reform bill in a party-line vote on Tuesday. From the USA Radio News Phoenix Bureau, I'm Tim Berg.
And you're listening to USA Radio News.
At the American Veterinary Medical Association annual convention in Washington, D.C., I spoke with Dr. John Howe, AVMA president, about One Health.
One Health is really a collaboration between physicians and veterinarians or public health officials. For example, in Minnesota, our state public health veterinarian deals with zoonotic diseases, rabies, for example. Animals are sentinels for humans, and humans are sentinels for some infections in animals.
There's more valuable information at avma.org.
A sweeping elections reform bill pushed by congressional Democrats has been blocked by Senate Republicans. In a Tuesday vote, the For the People Act was blocked from being brought to the floor for a debate by a 50-50 tally. 60 votes were needed to advance the bill. The proposal would have been the largest overhaul of the electoral system in decades, a measure Democrats say is needed as states have been passing their own election reform bills in the wake of last November's election. Kansas Republican Senator Roger Marshall explains to Newsmax TV the issues his party had with the bill.
They never mentioned the downsides of this legislation. They never mentioned that this legislation does away with voter ID, that it encourages ballot harvesting, and it uses federal dollars to match campaign dollars as well. Just a moment ago, you put up polling that we've known for months that 80% of Americans believe in voter ID, that it adds integrity to the election process. We need our elections to be safer. We need them to be fair, but we certainly want integrity. We think that voter ID does that. Voter ID brings integrity to it. Without voter ID, or if you encourage ballot harvesting, it decreases the value of your vote. And I happen to think that voting for this republic is a very, very valuable thing that all of us are required or recommended to do.
And the Detroit Pistons have won the #1 overall pick in the NBA's draft lottery. The Houston Rockets will pick second, the Cleveland Cavaliers third, the Toronto Raptors fourth, and the Orlando Magic fifth. It's just the third time in franchise history and the first since 1970 that Detroit will select first overall. For USA Radio News, I'm Dan Naraki.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
ultra-low sulfur fuels.
The primary function of diesel fuel is combustibility. One of the little-known aspects of fuel is its role as a lubricant to metal-on-metal moving parts. The introduction of ultra-low sulfur fuels diminishes the fuel's ability to lubricate because sulfur, which has been mostly removed, has lubricating properties. Hot Shot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment with LX4 delivers unmatched lubricity. Third-party testing confirms that it takes 3 times the amount of leading fuel treatment to match the lubrication benefit of 1 dose of Hot Shot Secret. Everyday Diesel Treatment is a fully formulated 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Because Channel 19's a little congested. Call Steve now at 844-844-3388. The Overnight Drive.
There we go, even our friends on the West Coast. Hey, it's a Wednesday. Welcome into Hump Day. I did save the story about, it was actually Representative Ronnie Jackson a couple days ago was talking about Joe Biden's cognitive problems that we've all been seeing. And the entire world has been seeing, especially as he was on the world stage at the G7 last week. Multiple gaffes. Talking about Syria when he meant Libya, or Libya when he meant Syria, and just confusing things. The American people need an objective assessment of Joe's cognitive abilities, particularly after his performance at the G7 summit. Because his issues are only going to get worse. Again, Representative Ronnie Jackson, who was the former White House physician for President Donald Trump, as well as former President Barack Obama. Now, Jackson said he's always made gaffes, but these are really different now. He's confused about where he's at. He's confused about what he's doing. While he was in Europe, he did not look like he was in control. He's not inspiring confidence to our allies, and he's sending the wrong message to our adversaries. When Trump was in office, Jackson actually administered a cognitive screening test to Trump after some of the liberal outcry over some of his actions. President scored a 30 out of 30 on the screening test that looks for early cognitive decline. Now, that was Trump. The test is not a detailed, aggressive cognitive assessment, but it's kind of a screening tool that, much like other screenings that they do for cancer or heart disease when you have a physical. He also said it is concerning that Biden forgot Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's name while he was introducing him during the announcement about him. And he forgot the name of the Pentagon. Now, this is raising big-time red flags. These things are going to continue to get worse. He's working in a very protective environment right now. They only roll him out on certain days when I think he has a few good days. They're giving him pre-screened questions from the press. They tell him who to call on. They give him the talking points for each of the questions. And even then, he struggles to give answers. And with the G7, Biden's weakness, it was all exposed on the world stage. Very unfortunate for this country. We are being tested every day by Russia, China, Iran. We are not inspiring the confidence of our allies, and we're sending the wrong message. We're not passing the tests that are being put before us. Jackson also said he thinks Democrats are going to start demanding answers about Biden's capabilities as the months go by. I'd say just stand by. He went on to say, I'll come back on your show in the next 12 months or so, and we'll talk about it again because it's going to be talked about soon. It'll be Democrats talking about it because this is only going to get worse, not better. Of course, we all, every last one of us, knew that was the case prior to the election, as literally for the whole year leading up to the November election, they kept Joe Biden locked up in a damn basement. Honestly. So he wouldn't be out there making a fool. All right, Heatwave, thanks for hanging in there. Where'd we leave off? Oh, yeah, the Cadillac.
Oh, talking about your Cadillac, yeah. Well, see, I drive by that place all the time when I go home. It's right off Interstate 40. And I happened to stop in there one time because Big Moose was talking about wanting, some old trucks. And when I went in there, I talked to the owner of the property, and he says, yeah, go ahead and take pictures all you want. He had a couple of Hudsons in there, or maybe that's not it. But anyways, one of them was a Patricia that both cars are in pretty good shape. So I went ahead and sent those pictures to Moose, and he's like, oh, goodness, don't tempt me with this. So anyways, and I was taking pictures of all the cars, and I happened to see that one, and I thought, I didn't think about it at the time, but I figured, well, you could have another Cadillac, can't you? Use it as a parts car, or maybe that's in better shape, and you want to go ahead and use that as the main drive, especially if the roof comes down. Be able to drive around and just show off the new Caddy, or the new to you Caddy. Yeah. So, anyways, we're talking about the voter, We the People Act. It is a direct slap in the face to the states when they were trying to say, you can't do the job the federal government needs to do. Well, you know what? Every time you put a federal government program in action,
they
somewhere,
screw it up.
Somehow,
it
there
gets
are
screwed
so
up.
many snafus.
Yep, every time.
Yep. So, leave the feds out of the states' rights to govern themselves and to govern how they're going to have the voting. And it's also a direct slap in the face to Black Americans, because it's essentially saying they're not smart enough to get an ID. Well, how in the hell do you think they got a driver's license, Democrats? How the hell do you think they got, work? How do you think they've got bank accounts? They have to have an ID, a driver's license or a personal ID. And if more Black Americans would look at that and say, yeah, that's right, they're actually saying we're too damn stupid to do this, well, maybe more of them will start flocking over to the party that set their ancestors free from slavery. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, in a fantasy world here. But, one more thing I want to talk about, the flag. When Biden was elected, I swore I would never raise that flag because I did not want to seem that I was in favor of a Democrat being in office. A friend of mine, Kevin Johnson, who drives for AFES, the Army Air Force Exchange Services, he brings supplies to the BXs and the base exchange and post exchanges out there for the Army and the Air Force. He was like, no, you really need to fly that flag. And I have been resistant until recently when whatever that idiot was that says we need to change the flag and make it more inclusive and more pretty because it's
a symbol of, you know what? Ted Cruz said it best. There are 194 other countries out there. Go there. Leave the flag alone. This has been, it represents the 13 original colonies. It has the 50 stars for the states. There is a lot of history on that flag. And Vic is right. Whenever the world needed somebody to step up and help out, who did they come to? They came to the United States and said, please help us. And we did. We helped World War I. We were in World War II. They wanted us in Korea. They wanted us in Vietnam. They wanted us in the Gulf. Well, you know what? If we weren't there, how different would the political landscape be? So, I mean, for these people to come over here and suck on the teat of America, getting all these freebies, becoming politicians, and then turning around and saying, well, we need to change the flag. No, you need to go back. And I will fly that flag, and underneath it, I will fly a flag that says, don't tread on me. Because even though I was not involved in any shooting battles, I was there in support of.
And with that, I believe he lost his cell, but hey, that's a good point to leave off, I guess. Thank you very much, Heatwave. Good to have you with us this morning. Let me get down to Steve. I think Steve is back. Back in a decent cell now, I guess.
Man, Steve, having some issues tonight. Hey, have you heard any news about I-24 eastbound going into Paducah, Kentucky? They had us detour at exit 16, and we had to go 40 miles on 145 north in Illinois and go all the way around and get back on at mile marker 36. So I don't know what's going on with if it's road work or a bridge or a wreck, but I noticed when I was driving that way at about 7 this evening going westbound, they had just shut down the eastbound side. Well, it's still shut down. And I don't know why that is, but that's a heck of a detour, I'll tell you.
Well, okay. So, again, where was it? 24.
So if you're in Illinois, 24 eastbound. If you're in Illinois heading towards the Kentucky state line, it's right there. So mile marker 16, and Kentucky state line is like mile marker 36, 37, right around there. So that whole stretch is shut down. I don't know if that's going to be going on all week or what, but I'm gonna find a different route if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some scouring here. Nothing's jumping up at me yet. So.
Yeah, I tried and I couldn't find anything. They just showed a wreck that happened a couple of days ago. That was about it. But so for Vic, and he was talking about that voting bill that got blocked. It's not called the We the People Act. It's called the Illegal Voting Act is what it's called.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. That's all about illegals voting. That's the whole point behind the bill, Steve. We all know it, right? Ballot harvesting.
Yep.
No ID. Taxpayer dollars going towards campaign. Taxpayer dollars going towards bipartisan campaigns. Steve, do you want to ridiculous?